It's time to return to Bright Falls, fight the mysterious Taken, then dive into the dark place and take on an ancient evil entity as we replay the nightmare of Alan Wake. I say replay, but for me, this is actually a first play. I'd heard of Alan Wake, of course, but never found the time, so this is my first time experiencing the environments, the combat, and the story of Alan Wake. I know absolutely nothing about this game, so I'll be judging the construction, the mechanics, the pacing, and the meta-narrative touches, with absolutely no nostalgia. Then, after finishing the main 6 chapters, I'll be taking on the 2 special episodes, The Signal and The Writer, to have a complete understanding of the spiraling plot. And in doing so, I'll experience some of the greatest set pieces in any game I've ever played. Then when it's over, we'll be able to answer the simple question. Alan Wake 1. Was it actually any good? Full spoiler warnings for literally the entire game and the DLCs. But first, I'm genuinely proud to say this video is sponsored by Lost in Cult. They make high-end physical merchandise for video games, and their latest creation in collaboration with Remedy and Sam Lake is the Alan Wake Bundle, including a 250-page hardback book with insights on both Alan Wake 1, 2, and American Nightmare, and the deluxe edition comes with a foil block gift box, a book dust jacket modeled on the return novel by Alan Wake, the return manuscript you find in the first game printed out, an Oh Dear Diner napkin, crime scene Polaroids, postcards, a map of Bright Falls, and a card signed by the actors, and more. Then the first 500 orders only also get a card signed by Sam Lake and the team at Remedy. I think this is a really impressive piece of gaming merchandise, and if you want this amazing physical bundle, you can get 5% off using the code JOSHStrifeAlan on the Lost in Cult website, or click the link in the video description. Full disclaimer, the acceptance of this sponsorship was only on agreement that neither Lost in Cult nor Remedy would have any input on the content of this review, which they have agreed to. So grab your flashlight and put on some coffee. It's about to get creepy. Alan Wake is a third-person action thriller game made by Remedy, the same people behind Max Payne, Quantum Break, and Control. In fact, Alan Wake and Control actually take place in the same universe. Current Remedy creative director Sam Lake wrote both Max Payne and Alan Wake. I've reviewed Max Payne already. I praised it for its incredible story, tight narrative flow, and refined mechanics, but critiqued the gameplay loop, saying it can get slightly tedious, and you sometimes end up pushing through repetitive combat sections just to keep the incredible story going. We'll see if Alan Wake is the same. Alan Wake originally released back in 2010 and was meant to be a PC exclusive, but got ported over to Xbox first because of Microsoft demanding it. Then a remastered version for PS4, 5, Xbox One, and Series S released in 2022. For this video, I'll be playing the PC version available on Good Old Games using a controller. The main menu shows a lighthouse, which will be relevant later.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear. In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
Alan is a writer best known for his Alex Casey detective novels. He's recently written the latest and final installment in the series called The Sudden Stop. The game begins in a nightmare. Alan is driving along, then hits someone with his car. He then mentions the name Alice. We stop to investigate the guy we've ran over, but he's gone. All we know is we need to reach the lighthouse. The use of dreams and nightmares as a tool for motivation is great because we don't know why we need to reach the lighthouse, we just do. And we can all relate because we've all had dreams where we need to do something, we just can't explain why we need to do it. It's not a logical decision, it's something deeper, something primal. And deep and primal is what this game will become, so exploring that theme early is great. Game starts, streetlight shining from above. Light and dark will be a central theme in Alan Wake. Standard 3D third-person movement control the camera with the right analog stick. We're told to go down the path to the lighthouse, but if you head to the broken bridge instead, you can fall down and die. There's no invisible safety walls here, and I really like this. Alan Wake was originally designed as a massive open-world game, but budget and time constraints forced it to be a linear adventure instead. But the open-world feeling still ebbs and flows through with the lack of barriers in the landscape. Down the steps, and suddenly a vision of the guy we hit. He's wielding an axe and begins to swing, and take note of how excellently the animations of the swing actually match up with the damage he's doing to the scenery. I really like the accuracy here. It's polished. It's small presentation touches like this which really elevate a game. And then the psychological aspects begin. As the hitchhiker tells us, he's a character from one of Alan's own stories.
It's not like your stories are any good. Not like they have any artistic merit. You're a lousy writer. Cheap thrills and pretentious shit. That's all you're good for! Just look at me! Look at your work!
The wooden stairs collapse so he can't chase us, and then note this QR code on a board. If you scan this, it takes you to the Alan Wake Facebook page, so there's an element of augmented reality within the design of this game, which I'll discuss more later. Run on and meet the guy again to learn about dodging. Press L1 to dodge. If you dodge at the start of an enemy's attack animation, you'll trigger a slow-mo film effect and dodge under the attack. Your health is shown to the top left, the little red line. There are no healing items. Your health recovers over time, quicker if you're standing in the light. Lampposts and the light they cast are also your checkpoints, so you're effectively moving from one light to the next. The little yellow dot you can see in the compass-like circle points to your current objective. It's a nice little non-intrusive hint system, keeps the heads-up display nice and clean. Dodge the attacks, sprint across the bridge, and then the hitchhiker becomes a massive swirling black vortex of evil energy chasing us and ripping up the scenery. Alan has a stamina system, but there's no visual guide for it. Instead, you listen to his breathing. Both sprinting and dodging use stamina. Unfortunately, a common critique of the game is Alan has the cardio capacity of an asthmatic goldfish. You can sprint for a few seconds at best and dodge twice. So just accept you'll be moving slowly most of the game. Across the bridge and into this hut, the hitchhiker is still chasing us. Then a TV turns on and shows a realistic eye telling us to die. Sam Lake likes using TVs like this. He did the same thing in Max Payne. Later, we'll even see full episodes of a fictional TV show. We get told to head into the light by this bright godlike being. Then this magical light creates a set of steps for us and gifts us 2 items, a flashlight and a gun. And now combat is a thing. Combat in Alan Wake is an interesting gameplay loop, and I'm going to say something controversial right away. I like the combat loop in this game, I just think there's too much of it. It's not badly designed, it just gets dull and repetitive because it's overused. The enemies we fight aren't entirely human. They're called the Taken. They can't be hurt as they're shrouded by a darkness shield, so you first need to burn this away. Your flashlight is always on, and pointing it at an enemy will start the burning process. This doesn't use any battery. In fact, this actually slowly recharges your battery. But you can also hold left trigger to focus your light and burn faster. It's like aiming down the sights. Focusing does use battery power. You can see the current power level and your remaining battery supply to the top left. Using a battery just refills it really quickly. Here's a touch I love. The enemies don't have a bar showing how much darkness shield they have remaining, but there is actually an in-game stylized visual hint. The lens flare artifact when you light up an enemy shows how much shield they have left. As the shield goes down, that lens flare artifact shrinks. That is a beautiful way of mixing mechanical information with aesthetics. When the darkness shield is burnt away, you'll see a flash of light, and now they are vulnerable to bullets, so get shooting. If you're using a controller, there is a soft lock-on system to help you. Another nice touch is when reloading, you can tap X to reload faster, which gives the player a bit of agency over the reload system, and introduces a bit of panic when you're trying to quickly get the final few bullets in while a horde of Taken are charging at you. There's only a few different types of Taken in this game. For now, we're dealing with normal guys, basic darkness shields, and they take 3 shots to kill on normal difficulty. The difficulty level just affects how much damage they do and how many shots they take. So I like the combat system as a system. It's a decent loop, it's not overly complicated, and it feels satisfying to use, but as we'll see later, it is used way too much. You start with a revolver, but we'll get the next weapon pretty soon, a flare gun, and this is a beast, a bright red light, and you can burn away and explode a whole group of Taken in one shot. Flare guns are the strongest weapon in the game by far, but they are remarkably rare. We sprint across the bridge and grab this coffee thermos, which is one of many hidden collectibles, then head inside the lighthouse, and Alan wakes up from his nightmare.
Shh, baby, just another nightmare. Everything's fine. You dozed off.
Right. Anything more than dozed off would be news for everyone.
Cheer up, handsome. We're here.
Alan, having finished his latest and final Alex Casey novel, has taken a vacation with his wife Alice. They've come to the picturesque wilds of Bright Falls, a Pacific Northwest logging town. On the ferry on the way over, we meet Pat, the local radio host and a fan of Alan's work.
Hello there. You picked a good time to visit our town. Deerfest is just 2 weeks away.
Deerfest, huh? Did you hear that, honey?
I'm Pat Maine, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm Alan Wake.
I won't pretend I don't recognize a famous writer such as yourself, Mr. Wake. A pleasure. I hope this isn't too presumptuous of me, but I'm the night host at the local radio station. Any chance I could get an interview?
Look, Mr. Maine, I'm on vacation. In fact, I'd appreciate it if we could keep my being here just between the two of us. I'm sure you understand.
Fair enough. Not a hard man to track down if you change your mind, though.
We then get a call from Alan's friend and publishing agent, Barry.
Yeah?
Hey, bestseller. How's my favorite writer? Are you there yet?
Barry. Yeah, we just got it.
Are the locals giving you trouble? Just say the word and I'll hop on a plane and come make sure that you're left alone, Al.
No, Barry, we're fine.
Great. So, how is the place? Has it gotten your creative juices flowing?
Barry, we're just settling in.
Okay, Al. I'll call back later to make sure you're doing okay. And you call me if there's a problem, okay? Talk to you later.
I love you too, Barry.
Barry is a bit eccentric, but he does care. It seems the town of Bright Falls is getting ready to celebrate the annual deer parade. It's only 2 weeks away. The ferry then docks, and we're told to go to the local diner to grab the keys to our vacation cabin from a guy called Stucky. Problem is, Alan wants a peaceful holiday, but he's rather famous, and Rose, the diner waitress, recognizes him immediately.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner.
Hi, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm looking for...
Mr. Wake. Alan Wake. Oh, God! I am your biggest fan. I know people say that all the time, but I really am.
I'm glad to hear that.
Rose.
Rose, I'm looking for Mr. Stucky. Carl Stucky?
Carl? Of course, Mr. Wake. He must have gone to visit the restroom. He'll be back in a moment.
If you explore the diner, you'll meet some important locals, the sheriff and these two aging rockers, who will matter later. One of them asks you to put a song on the jukebox, but you need to hit it to work. That's a lovely low-stakes way of introducing the button mash mechanic you'll need sometimes later. We're told Stucky is in the bathroom at the back, so we go to try and find him, and this old woman holding a lamp then says something rather creepy.
Don't go in there, young man. You can hurt yourself in the dark.
I think I can handle it, ma'am.
I didn't want to wait. I wanted to find Stucky, to get the key and get out as soon as possible.
Remember that lamp lady, she'll matter later. Head to the bathroom to get the keys to the cabin from Stucky, but he isn't here. Instead, we are met with an old woman in a veil.
Carl couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he was taken ill. But I have the key for you and instructions on how to get to the lake.
Okay.
I wish you a good stay in my cabin. I'll come by later to check how you've settled in. And to meet your wife. I insist.
With the keys and directions to the cabin, we leave the diner and drive off. But as we do, Stucky bursts out.
Hey, wait! Mrs. Wake! Your keys!
So if we don't have the correct keys, what keys do we have? And where are the directions the woman in the veil gave us going to take us to? Thankfully, they seem fine as we drive through the mountains and arrive at Diver's Isle, a beautiful cabin on a lake.
Wow. It's gorgeous, Alan.
It's something, all right. Don't worry, honey. I'll get you inside safe and sound before it gets dark. And I've got the flashlight.
I know. I'm okay.
Here we learn our wife Alice has a phobia of the dark and won't go in until we turn the lights on. So we explore inside and find a calendar from the 1970s. Why hasn't this been updated? Well, remember this, it will matter soon. And then a vision of the Veil Lady flashes at us. A nightmarish hallucination, but it's over pretty quickly.
For a moment, the oppressive feel of the nightmare I had seen on the ferry returned.
On the bookshelf, we then find a photo of someone in an old-school diving bell suit. And as we turn on the radio outside, we hear the waitress Rose tell everyone that we are here.
Hi, Pat. It's Rose.
Why, hello, Rose. What's on your mind?
I know who that famous artist was. It was Alan Wake, wasn't it? He's my favorite writer.
Great. So much for keeping a low profile.
Turn on the generator outside by playing a little timing minigame, and with the lights back on, Alice says she has a surprise for us.
Well, hello there.
I'm not the surprise. It's in the study. Go take a look. Surprise!
Alice? What is this?
I guess I have a small confession to make. I thought maybe you could write here that a change of scenery would get you past...
Damn it, Alice! Everyone keeps...
Hey! Just hear me out! There's a local doctor, Dr. Hartman. I read a book of his. He has a private clinic here. He specializes in helping artists. Maybe
So now you want to get me committed?
No! It's not like that. That's not... Alan?
Just don't! I don't want to hear it! God damn it, Alice!
I knew she wouldn't follow me in the dark. I needed some time alone to think things through. Alice?
Alice? Alice!
Alan has been suffering from writer's block for a while and doesn't want to write now, so storms out. But after leaving the cabin, we hear a scream, so run back in. We see a flash of Alice falling into the lake, so Alan dives in to save her. More flashes of strange visions, and then we wake up.
Waking up in the crashed car felt like I had woken from one nightmare and entered another. I couldn't remember how I got there. All I knew was that something terrible had happened to Alice.
In the boot of the car, we find a book by Dr. Hartman. We check our phone, but it's dead. We need to call for help. We spot a gas station in the distance and think that may have a phone, so run through the forest to reach it. And as we go, we find a piece of paper blowing through the air. And reading it reveals it is a single page of an unpublished manuscript, written by Alan Wake, but we don't remember writing it. Even stranger, it seems to mention events that we've already experienced.
The loose sheets of paper were pages from a manuscript entitled Departure. That was the name I planned to use for the next novel I had never gotten started. I was named the author. I hadn't written it. I couldn't remember writing it. In the scene on the page, the hero was attacked by an axe murderer in the woods at night.
You can pause the game at any time and see both your current objective and read through all the manuscript pages you've already found. Some pages are only available in Nightmare difficulty, which you cannot access until you've completed the game once. While running through the woods, we keep seeing flashes of the axe-wielding hitchhiker from our nightmare earlier, and eventually we reach a logging camp with someone here.
Hey, you!
Phil!
There's been an accident. I need help.
Listen, I need to...
Premium cabins for rent in...
Nightfall!
Oh, hell. Carl Stuckey.
Pleased
To meet you. Non-refundable
reservation
deposit required. Fair and square.
So that's Stuckey, and now he's babbling like a madman and chasing us around the camp. In a very unnerving touch, the Taken, the people shrouded in darkness, all shout phrases relevant to them, their job, or a pamphlet you might find in a visitor center. And it's the mundanity of the lines which end up being more creepy than anything intentionally creepy. They don't shout about how they're going to kill you or chase you down. They shout about remembering a toothbrush when you go camping, or how health and safety equipment is important.
I never touch salad, no. A man like me needs a hefty.
Pets must be leashed.
at all times.
Never!
Leave your
Pet unattended. Omega-3 fatty acids are good for your heart.
By keeping the phrases the enemies shout mundane and locally relevant, it actually makes the horror feel more condensed. Like this is the only place in the world right now, in a world we're not familiar with. And by linking the enemies to the local landscapes and buildings through their incredibly threatening use of non-threatening phrases, the landscape and environment itself becomes imbued with an evil undertone. If a monstrous Taken is shouting about the general store while trying to kill you, when you eventually walk into that general store, you're going to be instantly on edge because of the memory. It's a brilliant narrative way of making completely normal locations feel otherworldly and wrong. Duck into a cabin, find a flashlight and a gun, and now we can fight back. Activate the phone to call the sheriff, but as we do, we see the phone lines being cut through the window, and then Stuckey in a bulldozer pushes the entire cabin we are in over a cliff edge, and I think here was where I realized I was in for something cinematic and special. Because this isn't a cutscene. You need to dive out of the cabin just in time in gameplay, then fight back some more Taken, and then I find a lovely use of yellow paint. The yellow paint in video games joke has gone back years, removing any sense of exploration from the player by effectively signposting which way they need to go. But here, it's done quite well. You can only see the yellow paint when you shine your torch onto it, and the arrows always lead to optional hidden caches of weapons and ammo, all of them eventually marked with this flaming torch symbol.
Eerie hand-painted graffiti was revealed by my flashlight. Someone had hidden a chest of supplies near it.
Also, check this moment out, which I absolutely love. The flash of light from a gunshot will also illuminate the yellow paint. This is such a small mechanical touch, but it shows a deep level of aesthetic polish. Hidden weapon stores like this often give flare guns, and firing a flare into an enemy is extremely satisfying. The lighting, the smoke, it's glorious. We'll see why Alan Wake puts so much effort into its lighting effects later. But one thing that makes using the flare gun glorious is the scarcity of the times you get to do it. Keeping it rare keeps it special. Push on through the forest and hear some extremely loud noises as the ground starts shaking, Alan's thoughts echoing my own.
What the hell was that?
Get taken to low health, find a light and heal up, then fail this jump and die, so there are no invisible barriers preventing you from falling to your death anywhere, and the fall damage even within the level is rather unforgiving. So now I'm going to bring up a rather obscure comparison no review of Alan Wake has ever done. This game is somewhat similar to the David Lynch show Twin Peaks, with the characters and pacing of a Stephen King horror novel. I think if I didn't include this in the video, the Alan Wake fans would hunt me down and kill me in a mysterious, cosmically horrifying way. The game is undeniably inspired by the cult series. I'd say if you put Silent Hill, Twin Peaks, Stephen King, and Inception into a blender, then mixed in a spoonful of coffee, you'd get Alan Wake. And that's a compliment. This logging camp is our first more open area puzzle. Find a generator to restore power to leave the site. In a nice touch, you can just follow the power lines to find where you're meant to go. Enemies also now have throwing weapons. They'll launch axes at you, but in a very interesting touch, not every throw is always accurate. You need to actually watch the incoming axe because you can accidentally dodge into an axe you were going to avoid by doing nothing. Then we find the next weapon, a shotgun, more damage at closer range. You know how a shotgun works. Activate this lift, which lets us move some suspended logs and create a bridge across the area. Lovely touch. Platform over and find more radios. You can listen in. It's a caller asking about a lost dog. The radio segments really flesh out the world and make the DJ Pat, the guy we met on the ferry, feel like an important character. He knows everyone. It proves the town is close-knit. We then find another page of the manuscript, and this one actually details how we keep finding pages of the manuscript, which is meta, but it's also a very important change in pacing. The first page we found was a story about past events. This page is of current events, meaning the manuscript has now caught up to where we are, and if this continues, the manuscript is going to outpace us. Get into more forest fights, more dodging enemies from behind, more nightmarish, solid shadow and fog closing in, and yes, we soon find a page of the manuscript which details events that haven't happened yet.
I stepped into the gas station's garage. It was dark and quiet. The place was a mess. It looked like someone trashed the place or that there'd been some kind of fight. Light spilled into the room through an open door at the back, and I made my way toward it.
This is the point you realize somebody, potentially Alan Wake himself, has already written the story that we are playing through, and we are following its path, paradoxically making the story come true by doing it. But are our actions retroactively making the story, or is the manuscript listing which events will inevitably happen? This is where I started to get really interested in the game's plot, because I love a good meta-narrative thriller. We fight on and reach a cabin, turn on the TV, and catch the first episode of Night Springs.
Science. It bestows immortality on those who advance it to elevate all of mankind. Newton, Einstein, Sagan, princes among men. But the price for such a legacy is steep indeed. In Night Springs.
Night Springs is a fictional TV show which exists within the world of Alan Wake. Sam Lake, the writer and director, has done media within media before with the show Lords and Ladies within Max Payne. But while Lords and Ladies had static images with a voiceover, Night Springs is an actual show. It's a series of shorts using real actors. It's clearly a homage to older sci-fi thriller shows exploring strange concepts like The Twilight Zone. There are several episodes only available in Alan Wake Remastered, and watching them all gets you an achievement. This episode is about the quantum immortality theory, so of course, I watch it all because it's really good. Back outside, we bump into the Taken version of Stucky, and this is our first boss fight and a new Taken mechanic. Stucky is fast, very fast, leaving a foggy blur effect as he runs around, and keeping your flashlight on him is hard. He'll dart in for quick attacks, then run back behind the scenery. And this is design I appreciate. Alan Wake is not a mechanically complicated game, but it does what I love with the systems that it has and mines them for variation within them. So the Taken can move, Stucky can move faster. The Taken can be hard to see, Stucky is harder to see. The Taken have a lot of health, Stucky has more. The variation within the basic framework is fine. The issues happen later when you've explored the variation and then repeatedly reuse it so many times it becomes repetitive. Some producers have always wanted video games to be longer because they see game length and quantity as a sign of quality. But that's not true. You need the game to be short enough that you can maintain a high quality throughout, but long enough to be worth the money. And I feel after playing Alan Wake and the DLCs, it could actually benefit from being slightly shorter. These earlier combat encounters are great fun because it's the first time seeing something new, but by the time you've taken out your 50th fast-moving Taken, you've lost the novelty. So we defeat Stucky and oh hey look, it's the parade float from earlier. It's a nice callback. We finally reach the gas station and see that the parade is only 7 days away.
The Deer Fest had been 2 weeks away when we arrived. If the day count on the banner was right, I was missing a whole week between the night we got here and now.
What have we been doing for a whole week between diving into the lake and waking up in a crashed car? We head inside the gas station and just as the manuscript page from earlier said would happen, the TV turns on and we see one of the strangest sights.
All right. I'll keep writing. Outside there's only darkness. Outside the cabin, outside the story, there's only darkness. I can feel her presence in the dark. Just now, I could smell her perfume in the room. I'll reach her, I'll fix it up. I'll bring her back. The story will come true. If I stop, she's lost.
I don't believe this. It'd been me on the TV, talking crazy. Was I losing my mind?
We call the local sheriff using the gas station's phone and tell her just enough of the tale so that she doesn't think we're crazy. But when we mention the cabin on Cauldron Lake...
Oh, thank God, Sheriff.
Sheriff Sarah Breaker, you are...
I'm Alan Wake, but listen. I was in a car crash. My wife, Alice, she's missing.
Calm down, Mr. Wake.
We were staying in a cabin on the island, on Cauldron Lake.
There's no island on Cauldron Lake, not since the big eruption in the 70s.
Please, I can take you there, okay?
You look like you've taken a pretty bad knock to the head. Please get in the car. We'll swing by the lake and then we'll go to the station, okay? Have you seen Stucky, the guy who owns this place?
I realized I couldn't tell her what had happened in the forest. She wouldn't have believed me. And then she wouldn't have helped me with Alice.
Thus ends episode 1. So let's talk about Sam Lake's really impressive use of multimedia. Alan Wake is a video game presented as a TV show. There are 6 levels broken into episodes. Each episode ends with a unique outro song, and then episode 2 onwards starts with a TV-style recap of all the previous episodes. There has long been the belief within high art circles that video games are not art. Hollywood admires films and TV writing, but looks down on video game writing or comic writing. Theatre actors are highly respected, but describing an actor as a video game actor is almost derogatory to those who see childish video games as diluting the nobility of the acting craft. There are other mediums with similar snobbish attitudes. Books are classy and refined, while graphic novels and audiobooks are lesser than, more plebeian. Classical music is worthy, while rock or metal is worthless noise. Art has long been a bastion of establishment gatekeeping. There's even a meta self-aware joke about this phenomenon made later on in the game. I'll point it out when it happens. But the important artistic aspect here is Sam Lake has absolutely smashed this elitist notion by using every medium to tell the story he wants to tell. Sam Lake's previous game, Max Payne, was a video game inspired by the pulp fiction hard-boiled detective novel genre, which featured storyboard panels presented as graphic novels featuring the Lords and Ladies TV show within its own universe, which at times broke the fourth wall and spoke directly to the player by telling Max he was in a video game. Alan Wake is a video game about an author of classic hard-boiled detective novels presented like a TV show in which you collect pages of a strange manuscript written like a novel and features an in-universe TV show and later a major story clue hidden in the lyrics of a song created by an in-universe band, which then plays alongside music from an actual real-world band in the in-game radio with QR codes linking to the Alan Wake website, lending it an element of fourth-wall augmented reality breaking, all contained within the extended universe of the Control games. Alan Wake isn't so much a video game as it is a multimedia psychological thriller told through 6 different artistic mediums, and if that isn't art, my god, I don't know what is.
Previously on Alan Wake, I came to Bright Falls with my wife, Alice.
Thank you for coming here with me. I thought maybe you could write here.
I don't want to hear it! God damn it, Alice!
Now, she's missing.
Alice? Alice?
I woke up behind the wheel of a crashed car. I'm missing a week. I was attacked by shadowy men straight from a nightmare. The sheriff took me to the lake Alice and I had stayed at, but the cabin had disappeared.
Episode 2 takes us 3 years back in time to Alan's apartment in New York City, and I know I'm getting old because my first thought was, my god, this is a nice apartment. We can even find the latest novel Alan is working on, and it reads a lot like Max Payne. Alan chats to his wife Alice, then the lights go out. Alice is scared of the dark, so Alan goes to fix the fuses. Then, to calm her down some more, he tells her a story from his childhood.
Okay. I used to have these nightmares when I was a kid. The dark really spooked me, too. When it got really bad, my mom gave me this old light switch. She called it the clicker.
The clicker, huh?
Yeah. If I ever got scared of the dark, I could just flip the switch and a magic light would scare the monsters away.
Oh, sure.
Here it is.
Alan.
Maybe it'll help you too.
Yeah, nice story, writer boy. You made that up right now, didn't you?
No. Seriously.
I love you, even if you are a liar. Thanks for this.
Real or fake, the idea of the clicker, a broken light switch which could scare away the monsters of darkness, is adorable because to a child this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the belief they are safe which keeps them safe. Back in the present, Alan is in the sheriff's office being treated by the town doctor, possibly a concussion, but we're able to walk. So we talk to Sheriff Sarah Breaker about finding our wife Alice when suddenly we get a phone call.
How did you end up at Stucky's gas station?
I wanted to tell her what had happened last night, but I couldn't. She'd locked me up. Excuse me, I need to take this. Hello?
Alan, please help me.
Alice?
Stop talking to the law. You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
Who is this?
Go to the back lot. There's a hole in the fence on the left. Look inside the junker. I left a little something there to convince you we're all on the same page here. After you ditch the cops, you're gonna meet me in Elderwood National Park. There's a spot called
Mr. Wake, can I help you with anything?
Midnight.
So our wife Alice isn't in Cauldron Lake, she's been kidnapped. And on our way out, we pass a man in a jail cell begging us to turn the lights on. We find Alice's driving license in the abandoned car where the kidnappers said it would be, so we know they mean business. Then our agent Barry calls us up and says he's not heard from us in a week and he's flying out to see us. You know what? That might be useful. We head back inside through the jail cells and another TV turns on, again showing Alan sat in the cabin writing, ranting about how he's going to save Alice. We go to leave the police station and run into Dr. Hartman, the guy who runs the local wellness retreat. It was his book we saw in the boot of the crashed car.
I'm Dr. Emil Hartman. I'd like to invite you to stay at Cauldron Lake Lodge.
Did you talk to my wife?
I had the pleasure of discussing your situation with her on several occasions.
Did you set something up with her?
I invited her here. My clinic is a place where...
Oh, hey! Oh my! Take it easy.
Hey, nobody move! Get your hands off of my client!
Who are you?
I'm Barry Wheeler, his agent. If you have business with Mr. Wake, you talk to me. You yokels won't know what hit you once I sick my lawyers on your asses.
No harm done, Sarah. I'm all right. I don't want to press charges. Mr. Wake, my offer still stands.
Get me out of here.
The kidnapper says we need to meet him up the mountain at Lover's Peak. No police, come alone. So we go to the local visitor center to find a way up to Lover's Peak, and to have Barry rent a cabin nearby in case we need some backup. While in the visitors center, we learn that Rose the waitress is a massive fan of Alan Wake, even runs the Alan Wake fan website. In the back, Rusty the park ranger is treating Max the dog for a bear trap injury. We grab the keys off him, and Alan and Barry head on up the mountain.
You're asking me to believe that you shot a dude who went poof into thin air, a guy who was bulletproof until you pointed a flashlight at him. We should go to the sheriff or call the FBI.
Damn it, Barry, they'll kill her!
This is not a goddamn debate, Barry. I'm going to Lover's Peak. He said to come alone.
Okay then. I understand. You're my best friend and I'm worried that you're not right in the head.
You stay here, and if I'm not back by morning, call the cavalry.
Alan can't trust anyone in this town, not the doctor, not the sheriff, because saying, "I lost a week of memory after diving into a lake from a holiday in a cabin which doesn't exist," is a great way to find yourself in a padded room. Thankfully, Barry is just about willing to trust, even if not believe us. Search some local abandoned cabins and find some revolver ammo. Then a tire swing moves by itself. Something is definitely not right about this whole place. Through the woods, find another TV in a cabin and watch another episode of Night Springs about how a man's reflection left the mirror to kill the original man. And left at the crime scene was a white t-shirt stained in blood. The plots of these stories are loosely connected to the themes of the main game, but aren't directly parallel. We find another manuscript page, but this one tells about how the visitor center we were at earlier and Rusty the park ranger have been violently attacked. This is a possible prophecy, so we quickly return to the center to check on Rusty and... yep, a dark presence has swept through the center and destroyed some of it.
Oh, hell. It happened. Just the way it was on that page. I found. Came true. It knew. The lights. In the office. I have the key.
Major story moment here. Rusty said it happened just the way the page said it would, which means the pages physically do exist, other people can read them. We're not hallucinating them. We find the circuit breaker to restore the power, but there's an axe lodged in it. So return to Rusty the Ranger, but then black spots of pure shadow start showing up on the floor. Touching them hurts you, so burn them away with the flashlight, and then Rusty appears, cloaked in darkness. He's one of the Taken now, and we need to fight him. Mini-boss fight, it's kind of the same as the last one, which is a bit disappointing. Then, when he's down, fight through the visitor center and continue our journey to Lover's Peak to meet the kidnapper. En route, we find more pages detailing Alan becoming aware of the missing week between the dive and the car crash, and as we go, we reach a huge tree with a sign saying, "The Great Old One." This is a reference to the cosmic horror stories of H.P. Lovecraft, most commonly known for the Cthulhu-Fhtagn mythos, or a giant elder god slumbering deep below the ocean, and any human who sees them would go insane. The enemy hiding in the tree is a new type of Taken, larger, tankier, and slower, except for when they charge up and then sprint at you. Then they're very quick. They take a full 6 revolver shots to kill, a full cylinder, and now I'm out of bullets and using the shotgun. A small but appreciated detail. I love how the batteries you pick up for the flashlight are actual real Energizer batteries. Keeps the world grounded in familiarity, which heightens the divide between the mundane and the supernatural. We find a manuscript page about the yellow paint, and it implies that someone is leaving them for us. Someone in the world knows more than us and is actively but secretly helping us against this darkness. Then I find a bloody white t-shirt on a rock, which perfectly matches a story beat from the Night Springs episode, The Man in the Mirror, the one we heard earlier on the radio. Which means, are the Night Spring stories true? Then another new enemy type, extremely fast Taken. They have low darkness shields and take fewer shots to kill, and with this we've met pretty much all the enemy types. Platform over some blockades in the path to Lover's Peak, then reach an aging cable car to cross the ravine. We know we're heading for the radio tower, the outlook we need is just below there, so on we go. The cable car slowly makes its way across, but just before reaching the other side malfunctions and we are thrown to the ground, ambushed by some Taken, but then rescued by an unlikely ally.
Come on, we gotta get moving. More of them coming.
You can see them too?
Hell, of course I see them. Come on, we gotta move.
Why?
Because that's the way the story goes.
Yeah, but...
Let's move!
I lost my gun back there.
Oh, I've got a gun. Just keep that light steady on him.
It took a moment, but then I recognized him. He'd been on the ferry when I first arrived here with Alice. He knew my name. We were headed in the direction of Lover's Peak. There was no way this was a coincidence. He was the kidnapper.
The kidnapper has our gun, but we've got the flashlight, so now we need to follow him through the woods, shining light on the Taken while he shoots them. Mechanically, I really like this. Temporarily removing a layer of power from the player forces them to focus on what they do still have. We then find another weapon, hand flares. These can't hurt enemies, but they can quickly drain the darkness shields, and they work in a large area of effect. Plus, whenever you strike a flare, you'll get a gorgeous intense red glow, a plume of smoke, and the camera will sometimes slow down and circle Alan in a cinematic 360, making for some graphically really stunning moments. We follow the kidnapper to a wooden outlook platform, and now we have to make a stand against waves of Taken, so prepare for the first difficult combat moment and the first use of the repeatedly overused survive waves of enemies mechanic. Like I said earlier, the combat on a mechanical level isn't bad. It's best when you're facing 1 or 2 enemies and used sparingly to enhance tension, making each fight a moment instead of just filling space with combat. This, however, is just filling space, and while the dodge mechanic is fine if you can see the enemy coming, the amount of times you'll be completely blindsided by attacks from behind with no warning or knocked into a corner and unable to dodge out will get infuriating. I'm playing on medium, but Alan Wake is absolutely a game I'd suggest people who just want to experience the story play on easy. The only thing easy mode will do is make these combat endurance tests bearable, because my god, do they get tedious. And if you die repeatedly, that really harms the pacing of what is primarily a story-driven game, a TV show. I haven't played Alan Wake 2, but after finishing Alan Wake 1, my main input for combat would be reduce the amount of group fights, increase the amount of situation-based one-on-one fights, and slow the combat down. It takes me 10 minutes to pass this section using all my batteries and all my flares and dodging attacks I can't even see because the camera is so close to Alan you have no idea what's behind you.
Let's cut the act now. Where's my wife?
I knew you were going to say that. I read it all before. You're a hell of a writer. Congratulations. You're going to bring about something glorious and terrible once we get you some proper editorial control.
What the hell are you talking about? Where's Alice?
I want the entire manuscript, or she's gonna suffer bad.
You touch her mouth.
The kidnapper believes the manuscript is supernatural and wants to read the future. So we fight and then both fall from the overlook. We manage to grab the gun in the fall and the kidnapper runs off into the forest. We give chase, but be careful to avoid the bear traps, which were very nicely set up with Max the dog at the visitor center earlier. That's lovely pacing. If you do get caught in a bear trap, you'll be ambushed by a Taken, so doubly bad. But you'll escape using the same button mashing technique you learned at the jukebox earlier. More primordial roars in the distance. The darkness seems to solidify around the edge of the trees, clinging like a thick fog. We find a manuscript page here about Alan hearing the sound of a chainsaw, so things are about to get Resident Evil in here. The roar we heard earlier was apparently a plane crashing into the forest ahead of us, but when we reach it, the plane is old and rusted. This hasn't flown for years. So how could it have crashed just now? Remember this, it will be relevant later. A really cool touch is Alan Wake has a pretty good physics engine which is used in both platforming and later combat, like how you can walk inside the plane fuselage and tip it up with your weight, which opens new paths, running across the wings to find more hidden items. With the kidnapper gone, we've lost our chance to find our wife immediately, so we need to return to Barry at the cabin and work out what to do. We are quite a distance away, however, so decide to find a car. We fight through more ambushes in the woods, more lovely use of the flare lighting camera spin, and then we find a hunting rifle. You can only have one long weapon, either a shotgun or a rifle. There's only one enemy type weak to one specific weapon, and we've not met them yet. We reach a watermill. This is a platforming section, and the controls aren't really tight enough for precision jumping, so I fall in the water a few times. I think this is a perfect example of Remedy games. The gameplay isn't the strongest aspect of the game. It's what the gameplay connects. I feel some aspects would have been stronger if they'd have been less video gamey and more narrative set piece designed to just be a spectacle. Because I don't play Alan Wake for a tight platformer. The platforming isn't good enough to work as a pure platformer. The combat isn't varied enough to work as a pure shooter. But small elements of platforming work, and certain combat moments are amazing. The mechanics just overstay their welcome and harm the pacing. Like I said, I've not played Alan Wake 2, but part of me feels that trying to be an action shooter platformer is actually harming this experience, and they should probably push more into the walking simulator with horror elements and a few combat encounters. I'm excited to see if they do. We make it through the mill and find more graffiti using our flashlight. This one says, "The darkness wears her face." Well, that's unsettling. A few more manuscript pages referring to the shadow people as the Taken. We fight up the hillside, taking out some loggers as we go, and finally meet the guy with the chainsaw. This is another mini-boss fight, but again, nothing mechanically unique. It's a nice area to fight in. The chainsaw guy has a larger darkness shield and a lot more health, and as you'd expect, does a lot of melee damage if he catches you, but thankfully he's pretty slow. So take him down, push on, and then get a phone call from Barry.
Barry?
Ow! The porch is covered with birds. They've got all Hitchcock on me.
Stay out of sight. I'm on my way. Don't open the door.
Barry is still safe at the cabin, but he's being attacked by birds. We find a campground and spot a car in a locked garage. We search around for the keys and find another TV with more footage of Alan in the cabin.
A story is not a machine that does what you tell it. A story is a beast with a life of its own. You can create it, shape it, but as the story grows, it starts wanting things of its own. Change one thing and you set off a chain reaction of events that spreads through the whole thing. The characters have to be true to themselves. The events need to follow a logic that fits the story. A single flaw and the magic is gone. The story dies. Alice dies.
Remember that phrase, a single flaw and the magic is gone. It sounds ephemeral and metaphorical, but as we'll find later, it is actually quite literal. We find the keys to the garage in the men's toilets, but take a look at this and tell me I'm not crazy. The men's bathroom has toilets and plumbed-in sinks, as you'd expect. But the women's bathroom on the other side of the block has no toilets and no sinks. At first I thought maybe this was just a graphical oversight, but then I asked, what if this just wasn't an area the story expected Alan to go, so didn't bother being written to exist? And now I'm just questioning the reality of everything I'm seeing. So we unlock the garage with the keys, hop in the car, and welcome to the first of several driving sections. Remember, Alan Wake was originally envisioned as a large open-world mystery game where you'd pick up a clue and drive to a place and then find more clues and drive on. That didn't happen. But when that was still the plan, a big world needs transport, so they made a driving mechanic, and that has just stayed in. Now, not much happens in the driving sections. You can boost the headlights to do more darkness shield damage to the Taken, and then run over any enemy you see on the road, which is satisfying. There are some cool jumps, and the driving controls are pretty decent. But you could lose the driving sections and not really lose anything from the game. Eventually you'll always reach a roadblock and have to continue on foot, which is how every driving section feels hemmed in. They feel very separate from the rest of the game. Eventually we get a phone call from the kidnapper.
You son of a bitch! Where's my wife?
Enough horseplay, Wake. You deliver the manuscript, and you can have your woman back. Simple as that.
I don't... Listen. I'm gonna need time to finish it. I still need to write the ending. I need a week.
It's not done?
I need a week.
2 days. The old Bright Falls coal mine is nearby. You can find it easy, city boy.
So we have 2 days to either find all the manuscript pages or write a manuscript we've apparently already written but can't remember how or why. On our way back to Barry, we find more light-sensitive graffiti saying the darkness controls the Taken. Then we reach Barry's cabin and have to fight a mini-boss of birds. Taken birds are the final enemy type, clearly a homage to Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. They will swoop at you in flocks, doing a small amount of damage each time. Focusing the flashlight will drive them away, but remember earlier I said one enemy type is weak to one weapon? Well, it's birds, and it's the flare gun. One good flare shot into a flock will kill the whole flock instantly. So we take out the birds and save Barry, hop in the car and drive back to town. We need to find out what we can about the mysterious Cauldron Lake and the Diver's Isle cabin, which doesn't exist anymore. But then an interesting lead. Rose, the waitress, has called Barry.
Barry Wheeler speaking.
This is Rose.
Rose?
I found Mr. Wake's pages.
Oh, you sweet, brilliant girl.
Could you and Mr. Wake come get them? I live in the trailer park outside the town.
We'll be there in less than an hour.
Bye now.
See you soon.
Have a great day. Hope you come back soon. Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner.
Good girl.
It seems Rose is being controlled by the same mysterious veil lady that we got the keys and the map from back in the diner. So this is clearly a trap, but why? And who is the veil lady? And so ends episode 2, another banger song, and episode 3 begins.
Previously on Alan Wake, Alice has been kidnapped.
Alan, please help me.
Alice?
You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
I can't tell anyone except my agent Barry.
Damn it, Barry, they'll kill her.
You're my best friend, and I'm worried that you're not right in the head.
The ransom is a manuscript I supposedly wrote that's coming true before my eyes.
It happened just the way it was on that page. So dark.
I have found only a few scattered pages.
I want the entire manuscript.
The deadline is in 2 days.
I found Mr. Wake's pages.
Good girl.
We head to the trailer park Rose lives at to hopefully gather the manuscript pages she has found. We also learn there's an FBI agent at the sheriff's station who wants a word with us. While walking to Rose's trailer, the trailer park landlord tells us a story about the history of Cauldron Lake and the Diver's Isle cabin. We learn back in the 70s the cabin was owned by a man called Thomas Zane and a woman called Barbara Jagger. Thomas was a poet, an amateur filmmaker, and a passionate diver. It was likely his photo we saw in the old diving suit. Barbara was an actress. The last names Zane and Jagger speak to Sam Lake's love for old rock music, being references to Billy Zane and Mick Jagger. Thomas Zane and Barbara Jagger ran a local commune of artists, including their editor Emil Hartman, the writer Cynthia Weaver, and the rock duo The Old Gods of Asgard, made up of the Anderson brothers. And the interesting thing is we've already met all these people.
I'm Dr. Emil Hartman. I'd like to invite you to stay at Cauldron Lake Lodge.
The Anderson brothers, the Old Gods of Asgard rock duo, were the two old guys in the diner asking for a jukebox song.
Do me a favor, Sonny. I could really use a tune right now. Coconut, number 6 in the jukebox.
And the writer Cynthia Weaver is now known as the Lamp Lady. She was the old woman with the cryptic warning for us at the diner.
Don't go in there, young man. You can hurt yourself in the dark.
Back in the 70s, Barbara Jagger went swimming in Cauldron Lake and then mysteriously drowned. Then a minor volcanic eruption under the lake swallowed the cabin, and Thomas Zane went missing entirely. None of his poems remain. Most people don't even remember he exists. Some people think he himself is a myth. Then the artistic commune they had fractured apart. Eventually we reach Rose's trailer and greet her, but her face flickers with darkness. We head inside and have a nice cup of coffee while asking about the manuscript, but the coffee was laced with something and we fall unconscious. It seems Rose never had the manuscripts, but while unconscious we have a vision of a man in a diver's suit. It's Thomas Zane.
It's coming for you, hiding in my barber's skin. I'm too weak to stop it. You must turn the lights on.
I promised I'd come visit you and your lovely wife. You must finish what you started.
Turn the light on.
Back to work, boy.
The woman in the black veil is Barbara Jagger, but it's not Barbara Jagger. Something else is in control, something dark, and it seems to want Alan Wake. When we recover from the sedative in Rose's trailer, we can see her bedroom is indeed a shrine to Alan, which is creepy in a more realistic way. We've been unconscious for about a day, so we only have one day left to find all the pages and meet the kidnapper in the coal mine if we want Alice back. Due to being in the trailer for so long, the trailer park owner has, rightfully so, called the sheriff. But when Sheriff Breaker arrives, she's joined by FBI agent Nightingale, who is just a bit wrong.
This is Agent Nightingale, FBI! Get him up, Hemingway! You're under arrest! You move a muscle, I'll unload right in your goddamn face! Stay right where you are, Slane!
We knew from previous manuscript pages that Agent Nightingale was going to shoot at us, so Alan dives to the side and runs into the forest. We don't know why Agent Nightingale wants us dead, just that he does. So we run blindly into the woods, no gun, no flashlight, and it's here you realise a majority of the game is just running through the woods. Now don't get me wrong, the environments are lovely, but the woods at night is definitely used a lot. I also realise at this point the game also takes away your weapons and then gives you back the basic pistol multiple times. So your power level in relation to combat is constantly being reset. We find another page which says the dark presence now wears Barbara Jagger's skin, and it used to love being invoked by poets, rock stars and writers, and now with a new writer around, maybe it's found its next follower. Which makes me think maybe this dark spirit requires artistic praise. But what does it want from us? We even hear the police screaming as the dark presence finds them. As we run along, an FBI helicopter flies into view beside us, but then a flock of birds swarm it, breaking the rotors and sending it crashing down to the trees beneath. Does the dark presence want to keep us alive? While here, you can climb into a firewatch tower and tune into the police frequency and learn that FBI agent Nightingale is drunk. And Sarah Breaker, the local sheriff, doesn't like him at all. Maybe the sheriff is the only sane person around here. From the viewing tower, we can also spot the radio station where Pat, the DJ we met on the ferry, broadcasts from. Maybe Pat can help us reach the coal mine, so we make our way there. And as we go, a metal gate suddenly begins to shake as it becomes wreathed in darkness. The dark presence can now take over objects, and we need a light source to burn it away. Thankfully, there's an old searchlight up on the hill, so burn the gate out of existence and keep going. We then find a police car, so grab a flashlight, gun, and some new weapons, the flashbang grenades. Equipping grenades is a bit clunky if you're using controller. Your weapons are bound to the D-pad. Revolver is right, shotgun is up, flare is left. But pressing down cycles between hand flares and flashbangs, and you can only have one bound at a time. Flashbangs are powerful enough to take out entire groups of Taken. If they hit an enemy, they explode instantly. If they don't, they'll stay on the floor for a few seconds before exploding, making them a great way to lure enemies toward you and then flashbang all of them. Keep running through the woods toward the radio station and then face some Taken FBI agents. More darkness shields and more health, nothing mechanically unique though. We reach the station, head on inside, and unfortunately the DJ Pat recognizes us and instantly announces over the air that we are here. This makes all the FBI converge, and you'll notice that Agent Nightingale never refers to us by our actual name, but a different famous author each time.
Nowhere to run now, Dan Brown. You back away from me. Don't hurt it. Whoa. Everyone calm down. Put the gun down. We're all friends here, right?
Cool your jets, Nightingale. We got him. What the hell's the matter with you? There's a civilian in there.
I'll get you yet, even if it kills me. You hear me? You hear me, H.P. Lovecraft?
So Pat, the radio host, is too passive to help. The FBI agent Nightingale wants us dead. The dark presence needs us alive for something. Sheriff Breaker isn't around, and Barry's still drugged in Rose's trailer. We are well and truly on our own. So we run toward the coal mine and hope we find some manuscript pages on the way which will give us a hint as to what to do. But as we go, we find a truck from the power company with a load of construction lights set up near it. This seems far too convenient, and the game even calls that out.
There was no sensible reason for the power company work lights to be here. It was almost as if they'd been left for someone like me to use.
We grab the shotgun in the nearby hut, which triggers an ambush, shoot our way out, then find another page which reaffirms Sheriff Breaker does not trust FBI agent Nightingale. We then reach a train depot which is likely connected to the nearby coal mine, but as we go, we get a phone call.
Hello?
The most stubborn man I've ever met.
Alice? Alice?
Alan. I'm so afraid. Keeps me in the dark. Please help me. I look at you, Alan, and it's not you. Something else. Looking out from behind your eyes.
The connection had been terrible, but that wasn't the only thing that hadn't been right with the call. She sounded wrong somehow.
So we climb onto the railway bridge above us and keep heading toward the mine, but then objects on the bridge itself begin to shake and rise up into the air, and the dark presence, wrapping them in shadow, launches them toward us. This is where the physics engine has combat utility. The faster an object is moving, if it hits you, the more damage you will take. So we dodge the objects, make it across, and Alan himself even references Stephen King.
As a teenager, just starting to get interested in writing, Stephen King had been a source of inspiration to me. I thought about all the inanimate objects that had come to life in his books. No one is safe in a good horror story. Certainly not the protagonist. That's what makes them fun. This was anything but. The darkness could possess anything, and it was getting closer.
Here we can swap our flashlight to a heavy-duty one. Works exactly the same, but does more shadow damage. And then it's time for the next mandatory combat wave survival section. When you try to leave this train yard, you'll open the gate and trigger an ambush. More unfair deaths to attacks from behind and being chained into damage I can't dodge. But eventually, through pure tenacity, I make it through, head inside and trigger even more ambushes. And this is the most combat-heavy section so far, and my god, it is a slog. Thankfully, I find a TV and a nice new episode of Night Springs to relax to. Body horror this time, of an ancient god gestating in someone's stomach. Lovely. More pages detailing the journey to the mine, and I mean, this area looks very open and boss arena-like, so I step in and yep, not just a boss fight though. a boss fight against a possessed bulldozer. This is one of the harder fights because you need to get rather lucky with how this giant bulldozer drives at you. It will run you over and you will die. You can't dodge far enough to dodge out the way of it in one dodge, so positioning matters. Plus, the arena is also filled with regular Taken, so being attacked from behind is still a thing. In fact, the first few times I'm able to defeat the bulldozer itself, burning through all my flares and batteries, I almost instantly die afterwards to the 2 Taken which spawn from its death, and this was one of the most frustrating moments to die. Finally take out the bulldozer boss and defeat all the regular Taken, head through the yard and find a truck, steal it and drive onwards toward the coal mine.
I had never been this glad to see the sunrise. I had a couple of hours to get to the coal mine. Little by little, without realizing it, I'd come to believe that the story in the manuscript was coming true. The current of its narrative had taken me deeper and deeper into dark waters. Alice had been taken from me. Barry was probably in jail. I was a fugitive from the FBI. The whole world taken over by the dark presence was trying to destroy me. It all felt real, but it matched a textbook case of insanity.
The driving sections are mostly linear, but you can still stop and explore the scenery if you want to. It does help the world feel a bit more fleshed out. We even hear a radio broadcast where the DJ apologizes for giving away our position and agrees Agent Nightingale is a bad person. I change cars to a cooler orange one, then find a new manuscript page talking about a guy called Mott, who I assume is our wife's kidnapper. Eventually we arrive at the coal mine, which has been turned into a museum since an accident several years ago collapsed part of it into Cauldron Lake. So we head in and wait for the meeting with the kidnapper.
The day dragged on. Different scenarios ran through my mind. Ways of how I'd torture the kidnapper to get Alice back. Or the different horrible things he could have done to her. I imagined her dead. I had no way of knowing she was still alive. It was killing me. It was all a waste of time. The bastard never showed up.
Wait!
Where the hell are you?
Change of plans. You know where Mirror Peak is? It's a big mountain north of where you are. You follow the path from the mine, you can't miss it. There's a lookout point there. I'll be waiting.
I want to talk to Alice.
Yeah, and I want the manuscript. Don't keep me waiting, Wake.
Hello? Hello! Ah! I'm gonna kill him!
So the meeting point has been changed. We now need to go to Mirror Peak. That means going through the mine. We find more pages about Thomas Zane the poet and Barbara Jagger the actress. A tornado of dark energy then rips through the tree line, bringing several down, and now we must cross this electrified fence, which means finding the fuse box and turning the power off so we don't get fried. This fight through the supply yard is pretty decent. Enemies don't ambush you from behind, and there's no possessed bulldozer. Plays to the system's strengths. The supply yard does get tougher as entire coal cars begin to launch themselves at us, but thankfully there's enough scenery to dodge and hide behind. And then we find more light-sensitive graffiti. Trust no one in the dark. Then an entire tree falls over trying to kill you. So the darkness is really upping its game. But I'm still not sure if it wants us dead or alive. These flashbang grenades are really coming in clutch, and again, the power company is mentioned.
There was no way the flashbang grenades were standard power company equipment.
I'm starting to think the power company is the benevolent force of good supporting me and supplying light. We then find another page which details us in a jail cell and FBI agent Nightingale interviewing us. We find the pump-action shotgun, holds more ammo and reloads faster. Fight on up the hill through a makeshift graveyard with some powerful Taken into this abandoned town where the railroad track itself becomes possessed and flies toward us. I take cover, find some keys, then another TV show showing Alan in the cabin, but he seems to have found the camera that was watching him right. And we learn that while in the cabin he has read some books by Thomas Zane, which chronicle how his girlfriend Barbara Jagger has been taken over by some dark, evil presence. And Thomas Zane's books may be impacting Alan's writing. A text from the kidnapper tells us to hurry up, so we keep going, dropping down into the old silver mine to make it through the mountain. But down here, we hear a woman whispering our name. This is the moment the game really switches from detective story to thriller horror, and there's actually a meta-thematic and narrative reason for that we'll find out later. So we travel onward through the mine, a tunnel caves in, and then some Taken burst in and we get to shooting, which honestly is actually a shame. I was really enjoying the ambience, the horror. It was starting to build some palpable tension using the isolation, and then it just had to throw it away by adding more combat. Platform up the mine shaft using these buttons to control a lift with a structure on it, raising it to 4 different levels to run across. Nice little puzzle. Then once outside, take another cable car across another ravine, flaring some flocks of birds as we go. The cable car clearly wasn't maintained contained very well and crashes toward the end, but we're okay. Then an entire train car falls in front of us. We run past it, find a hut with a log-burning fire, then fight on up the mountainside, reach a rope bridge, and get ambushed from both directions, and oh my god, we need to talk about combat again! There is a silly law in the entertainment world called the inverse ninjutsu law, where the power of ninjutsu is maintained no matter how many ninja there are, meaning the fewer ninja there are, the more dangerous they are. In a film, if the protagonist is attacked by 100 ninja, they'll be fine because each individual ninja is weak. But if the protagonist is attacked by one ninja, you know that one is dangerous. Same applies here. The idea of the Taken is indeed scary, but it becomes less scary due to overexposure, and the horrific nature of a darkness-enveloped mindless drone quoting mundane sayings at us in the deep woods is flattened when you know there'll be 10 more in a few minutes. Overexposure to the threat is the antithesis of horror. I feel combat in Alan Wake was best when it's against one or two dangerous enemies within a risky place, a curated encounter. Each fight feels like an actual confrontation between Alan and some agent of darkness which must be overcome through great effort, not a shooting gallery of nameless evil henchmen overcome through great amount of bullet. And the reason I keep banging on about this is Alan Wake has the quality to be a 10 out of 10 game if it stopped padding the quantity of its runtime with combat. We find another page talking about Mott the kidnapper and how Mott's boss won't be happy, so who is Mott working for? We reach an abandoned mansion and in the basement find a load of graffiti. Curse you, Tom, 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 then a heart with CW and TZ. The TZ is for Thomas Zane, but CW? Cynthia Weaver? The lamp lady? She wasn't dating Tom. I wonder if she had feelings for him. Head through the manor and the floor caves in and drops us down. The camera goes into a cinematic circular fly-round and another major ambush section. This is another combat bit, which takes me a few tries, mostly due to deaths from being blindsided. Fight on up the mountain and down below we can see Cauldron Lake, but no sign of the Diver's Isle cabin. Then we find a note from Dr. Emil Hartman, the clinic owner. It says, "We are a patient at his clinic, and we need to stop fighting this disillusion." By now, I'm not sure what reality even is, and this is great narrative framing. I am as confused as Alan. But eventually, we reach Mott the kidnapper and another revelation.
No, we don't have his wife. We don't know where she is. She's probably drowned. We just said we had her to make a play ball. You see? They got him writing for us.
So Mott was begging for mercy from the dark presence, and then we are thrown from the cliff, barely managing to light a flare before crashing into Cauldron Lake below. So ends episode 3, probably the longest and dullest episode gameplay-wise, but the story is about to get real heavy, real fast as episode 4 begins.
I'm hunted by the law.
Sheriff, Wake's running. I'm giving chase.
Are you seriously telling me that writer just took out my deputies?
A thriller I supposedly wrote is coming true. The genre of the story seems to be shifting. It's turning into a horror story. I was told that Alice had been kidnapped, but that was a lie.
We don't have his wife. We don't know where she is.
Her purported kidnapper was eaten up by the dark presence before it attacked me.
Alan, shh, baby. It was just a nightmare.
Alice.
There you go, Alan.
Hartman.
You're a patient in my clinic. Have been for a while now. The shock of your wife's death triggered a mental illness.
No, you lie.
You're suffering from various symptoms of undifferentiated schizophrenia.
We wake up in Dr. Emil Hartman's artistic retreat.
Now, Alan, from past experience with you, I know I need to get right into the heart of the matter as quickly as I can after an episode. So I'm just going to say this. Alice is dead. Alice drowned. And you couldn't face that. Your mind has constructed an elaborate fantasy scenario in which your writings are affecting reality. She has been kidnapped and supernatural forces of darkness are trying to stop you.
I wasn't ready for another shot, so I went along with it. He had to be lying. But under the influence of the drug he had given me, I had to fight not to believe his words.
We walk through Hartman's clinic, finally lucid, and meet some of the other patients, learning what they did as artists, from painters to musicians. And remember the disdain I mentioned Hollywood has for video games? We even get a cheeky nod toward that.
That's Emerson. We're actually making some progress with him, I'm happy to say. He works on video
Elbow
games.
strike. Ooh,
It's trash, of course, but it does involve some small creative effort, which makes him receptive to my therapeutic methods.
No kidding.
We meet the two old rockers from the bar, the Anderson brothers, the old gods of Asgard. We learn that years of rock and roll lifestyle has broken their mind. They're playing a Night Springs board game and hitting the table with a squeaky hammer. But then they confuse us for Thomas Zane.
Zane! You're alright, Tom. Hey, we like him, don't we, bro? He's gotta go to the farm.
The Anderson Farm. Valhalla!
We wrote it all down, lest we'd forget. A crash course. All you need to know to get your head right. You need to find the message.
Here, Sonny, here's something for you. Gave me a rash, but I kept it safe from these bastards.
Zane could feel the poems, taking form, shaping things. As he experimented, he imagined he could almost feel the power surging through the keys of the typewriter. It exhilarated him. But there was fear, too. If not for his young assistant Emil, he would have given it up.
We're not crazy. We need to visit their old farm. They call it Valhalla because they've hidden the truth there. But for now, it seems a storm is rolling in.
Meanwhile, when you feel up to it, return to your room and try to write. It really is for the best. Don't you think?
I'm finding it very suspicious that the Doctor, who used to be in the artistic commune along with Thomas Zane, Barbara Jagger, Cynthia Weaver, and the Anderson brothers, is now so focused on encouraging artists to keep creating art, when art seems to have a strong link to the dark presence. A TV broadcast then tells us,
"Something's wrong. I'm not myself. It's hard to think. There's a shadow inside my head. I can only focus on writing. Everything else is a blur. I'm trapped in this cabin. Have been for days, but it's always dark outside. My editor is real. I saw her again. She's not human. It's not human. A dark presence is wearing the old woman's face. She was covered in clinging shadows. There's a hole in her chest where her heart should be. I think I've made a horrible mistake. I don't think I'm any closer to saving Alice. It's been lying to me, using me to get the story it wants, and the story will come true."
Which is remarkably unnerving. So we return to our room but then hear a commotion downstairs. We even find a page of the manuscript which tells of Barry, our agent, coming to rescue us and being held by Dr. Hartman himself. We head downstairs and see the Anderson brothers have started a bit of a fight. They've even subdued a nurse. So we take her keys and break into Emil Hartman's office, and we meet Barry, our agent, who says, yep, Emil has been holding him against his will. We find even more pages which explains that Dr. Hartman knows about the dark presence, and then the good doctor appears.
Alan, please. You're sliding back into the...
Tell me one more lie and I'll shoot you in the face.
Ah, well, it was worth a shot. Really, Wake, come on. Let's work together on this. You have no idea...
Hartman, shut up! Barry, get out of here. I'll catch up with you. Get a car.
Wake, listen to me. This is a mistake. Don't you see? Together we can create something absolutely wonderful. With your ability and mine.
The dark presence then begins to take over the clinic itself, and we run, dodging through rooms and starting up generators to burn the darkness away from possessed objects. More pages reveal that Dr. Hartman knows the lake does something special to artistic works created near it. But he was always happy to be the curator of those works, never an artist. He just liked the control. As we leave the clinic, we meet Barry at the gates. They're locked. So Barry gives us his flashlight and the entire clinic becomes shrouded in darkness and the courtyard furnishings begin launching themselves at us, so we escape into the hedge maze. Navigating the maze isn't too hard and actually plays to the game's strengths well. Closer in camera, claustrophobic puzzle, only a few combat encounters just around corners acting as mini jump scares. We find more pages mentioning the performance stage at the Anderson farm. We take out Hartman's bodyguard as another mini-boss fight, protected by a flock of birds, then another page confirming Mott the Kidnapper was indeed working for Dr. Hartman. More graffiti saying Emil made Tom do it, so the Doctor is somehow responsible for a lot of these events. Then we meet back up with Barry, and it's time for another wave defense bit. Survive atop these steps while Barry unlocks the gate behind us and starts the car. Just about make it through, dive into the car, and drive away.
Al, please tell me we're headed for the nearest "You're now leaving Bright Falls. Come back soon" sign.
We're going to the Anderson farm.
I knew you were gonna say something like that. You know what? You owe me big time for this. When this is through, if we make it, I don't care what anybody says, I'm done with darkness. You're gonna buy me a tanning bed as a gift, and I'm gonna live in it.
I'm crazy, but that's fine, Barry.
Oh, you got that right, Al. You're barking mad. You are by far the craziest...
But maybe that's inevitable when you deal with crazy stuff like this. It helps. This is happening, Barry. Alice, they never had Alice. She's trapped in the darkness at the bottom of the lake, but she's not dead.
Al, how can you know that?
I know, Barry. I can...
Al,
No, listen. I can bring her back. I can find her. There's something special about this place. The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true. But there's a catch. The dark presence, whatever that thing is, twists it to its own ends. That's why all of this is happening. It's using my manuscript to take over everything.
Al, I believe you.
It happened to Thomas Zane before, it happened to the Andersons.
I believe you. I'm on board, man. I'm with you.
The Andersons knew about it, but they were too far gone to tell me with all the drugs they were on. But they wrote it down. There's a message somewhere at their farm, Barry. You just need to find it. Look out!
As the game loves to do, we get into a car crash and lose our flashlight and weapons. Barry survives the crash but is down in the forest below. We even hear him taking on some enemies with a flare.
Ah! Al! There's something moving down here!
Barry, it's a taken! Use a flare, Barry!
Yeah!
Barry, are you alright?
I'm good, Al! I'm great! Guess you never messed with anyone from New York City before, huh?
Make our way along the mountainside toward the Anderson farm. There's a strange peace about having no flashlight and no weapon, because while you initially feel defenseless, you quickly realize the game just won't throw any enemies at you. They'll still throw objects at you, though. So we dodge past more possessed things and then find a flashlight, which means now we'll get enemies. We see the farm down below and a car driving away, possibly Barry. We find a shotgun and, oh good, the bear traps are back. Eventually, we reach one of the farm buildings, head inside, and hear some rather intense screams.
Hello? Anybody here? Ah! Barry!
No!
Upstairs, we find a bleeding man. Hey, I recognize you. You were in the jail earlier asking us to turn the lights on. It seems this guy and his friend were trying to steal some bottles of moonshine from the Anderson farm and ran into the dark presence. Then we find another TV with a rather massive narrative revelation.
I've run through every possible course in my head. If I continue like the dark presence wants me to, the story I'm writing won't save Alice. It's a horror story, and it's going to kill her, and me, and everybody in this town. No one will survive. Darkness will consume everything. This is what it's wanted all along. It will be free, unstoppable. It used Alice to get to me, dangled her in front of me to keep me going. It was never going to release her. I'm going to change this. I'll escape. I've written myself into the story. I'm now the protagonist. This feels like a terrible risk, but it's the only way to save Alice. I'll be bound by the events of the story just as much as anyone else who's been woven into it. The story must stay true for this to work. There have to be victims along the way, near escapes, cliffhangers. In a horror story, it can't be certain that the hero will succeed or even survive. He almost has to die. I'll write my own escape into the story next. I need help. Zane's going to be the one who'll help me. I'll make it happen.
So we are the protagonist because Alan wrote himself to be the protagonist. How does that work? We'll find out soon. Steal a truck and drive toward the farm, running over some taken as we go. Destroy a giant possessed digger, which thankfully has no tracks and cannot move. Then finally reach the stage, this outdoor structure the Anderson brothers, the old gods of Asgard, used for their shows. And this starts possibly the best set piece in the game.
Al! Run! Incoming! There's too many of them!
God damn! I'm so glad
It's no secret I have my problems with the combat system. I've said it needs to remove the repetitive mob fights and focus on the more tense, well-crafted individual battles, but everything in moderation, including moderation. If you are going to have a horde battle, a wave defense section, this is how you do it. On a rockstar stage outside in a thunderstorm, as the music blares, pyrotechnics explode, then you repel the Taken army with fireworks and flares, while your mate Barry shouts encouraging things at you. This doesn't get repetitive because it is a well-crafted moment. It's impossible to play this bit and not smile. This section takes every issue I have with mob fights and replaces them with the sheer fun of rock and roll.
That was awesome!
Bright Falls, rock and roll capital of America.
The stage battle is one of the best, most cinematic moments in the base game. Absolutely awesomely absurd. We upgrade our flashlight to the powerful hand lantern, repel the Taken, and press on. Barry lets us know the most important thing is safe.
See, bestseller? No reason to worry. Your cutout's good as new, right where I left it. I'll come back for it once we have the place secured.
Yeah, that's been my biggest worry all this time.
Hey, I think Alan Wake here has something to say. What's that, Al?
Oh, I'm Alan Wake. I'm always right about everything. And if I don't get my way, I'll sulk all day long. I'm always intense and moody. It makes me very attractive and mysterious. Right now, I'm just standing here because I need my best friend Barry to carry me. But that's okay. I can just take him for granted.
I think I see what you did there.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Good to know the cutout is safe. Cheers, Barry. We climb up and around the barn, then head inside. It turns out the Anderson brothers actually built a Viking longboat in a barn adorned with Viking shields. Now, this isn't the first time that Sam Lake, the writer, has used Viking references. Back in Max Payne, the drug was called Valkyrie and the cult club was called Ragnarok. We used the boat as a battering ram to open up the other barn doors, walk through more Taken using a flare to keep them at bay, and then this lovely moment where you can lure enemies into flaying electrical cables. I feel doing this is a thing you should have had to do when you had no weapons. Using the scenery to defeat enemies is always nice. Make it through the farm buildings, then this lovely moment where I reload just in time to shoot an enemy out of the air as they jump at me, and then another boss fight, but this time it's against a possessed combine harvester, and this is really hard. This thing can kill you almost instantly because it's a combine harvester. It fast turns tightly and there's almost nowhere to hide from it, meaning you're actually best staying close to it and using flares to drive it back. If you have flare gunshots left, use them. If not, you're playing chicken against a combine harvester using a torch. Eventually, we defeat the combine, reach the main farmhouse, and head inside. More graffiti saying the old gods know the truth, and more pages saying the clues the Anderson brothers left were in their art. And they were musicians, which means they're music. So we play one of their records.
Okay.
We need to find Cynthia Weaver. We'll stay here for the night and head back to town as soon as it gets light.
Hey, Al. Lots of hours before dawn. Might as well get some rest. And by rest, I mean drunk.
Come on, Barry, this is... Yeah, what the hell?
Alan and Barry then spend the night in the farmhouse getting drunk on the Anderson brothers' moonshine, but fall into more nightmares. In a really nice technical touch, we arrive back at the lake from the start, but we aren't controlling Alan, we're just controlling an omnipotent camera that's watching Alan's actions. We follow him across the bridge, into the cabin, then see Alan dive into the lake and fail to find Alice. Then, in a fourth wall break, the dark presence actually sees us, the player, watching this scene.
It's your fault your wife is dead. You are guilty. All she wanted was to help you right. You killed her.
Ah!
Oh, hush. There's still hope. Cauldron Lake is a special place. Here, you have the power to change things. You can write her back. The story will come true, and all will be well again.
Yes. All right. I'll fix it. I'll bring her back. the dark, I'd written for days, a week, almost a complete manuscript of a novel entitled Departure. Jagger had been my editor, whispering in my ear, making sure that the unfolding story would make her more and more powerful. I thought I was saving Alice. Even with the cobweb she put in my head, some part of me had been aware enough to write my escape into the story, to bring a light into the cabin to release me before I could finish, to interrupt the horror story before the ending, where darkness consumed everything and everyone. Zane was weak and far away, but I had written him into the story, and his light had been enough to set me free.
It isn't here now. I'm here because it was written. I brought the light to set you free. You must hurry. It will know I'm here. It will be back soon.
When we wake from the dream, we see Agent Nightingale with a gun to our head. But we've read this page. We know he doesn't pull the trigger.
That's right, James Joyce. It's your fault, and you're gonna pay for it.
Previously on Alan Wake. Under the influence of the dark presence, I wrote a horror story that is coming true. Jagger had been my editor, making sure that the unfolding story would make her more and more powerful. Some part of me had been aware enough to write my escape into the story.
Together we can create something absolutely wonderful.
The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true.
My mom gave me this old light switch.
The clicker.
Alice is being kept in a dark prison. I need to find Cynthia Weaver to fix this.
It's your fault, and you're gonna pay for it.
Episode 5, The Clicker. Alan and Barry have both been taken back to jail. We need to find a way to reach Cynthia Weaver, the Lady of the Lamp mentioned in the song. Eventually, FBI Agent Nightingale and Sheriff Breaker arrive. It seems Agent Nightingale has found some more pages of the manuscript. Unfortunately, he didn't read far enough ahead.
Wake, what's wrong?
Lady, are you stupid? It's a trick. It's an obvious trick.
Okay, I've had enough of this crap. Wake, I'm gonna trust you with this.
You're joking.
Agent Nightingale, your opinion would matter more if you were sober and if I actually believed you were here on official business.
Whoa! Get back in the cell, Stephen King. The only way you're leaving this place is over my dead...
Wait a minute.
Oh my God!
Light. We need light. It's the only way to fight this thing.
Having seen the dark presence snatch Agent Nightingale from in front of her own eyes, Sheriff Breaker agrees we are not crazy and helps us escape. She tells us Cynthia Weaver lives in the old power station by the dam. She then gives Barry a list of people to call and say the code phrase Night Springs to. Apparently the town has a secret society of people who understand its dark past, and we may need their help. Sheriff Breaker offers to fly us directly to the power station in the police helicopter, but to get to it, we've got to make it through the town, which means climbing onto the roof to unlock the backyard gate for her. So we platform over, take out some birds, and then Alan and the sheriff shoot their way through roaming gangs of Taken. I really like this bit because while it feels like an escort quest, it's not. Sheriff Breaker is escorting us, if anything. She's capable and competent. We reach the town hall. Lights are out, so we need to look for the fuse box. And this moment here, I think this is the best example of less combat being more effective. Just watch this bit.
The message was from Barry. He was getting worried at the station. He wanted us to hurry.
Mobs of enemies in a dark forest, forgetful and mechanically repetitive. One enemy bursting through a door in a dark building and being taken out just in time, dramatically tense and enjoyable. We grab the keys to the helicopter yard, head back outside and see Barry running away from the darkness. Unfortunately, he gets separated, but we agree to meet up later. So Alan and the sheriff shoot through the town while Barry heads around the back to avoid the enemies. And that is a lovely touch, because each of these characters is individually competent. This may seem like a small point, but it has a huge effect because it relates to common tropes of idiot characters in media, especially horror media. I hate when shows, games, or books make characters stupid just to make decisions which further the plot, or they make those characters incapable to contrast you, the player, as the capable hero against them stronger. I'm a big fan of competent procedure. Alan Wake has made every character, good or bad, competent, and I love that. Even Barry, who was meant to be comic relief, isn't an idiot and actively makes choices which support himself and Alan and help them both survive. It's much easier to invest in a character's journey when you can see them making smart, understandable, relatable choices. Small touch, but I really like this bit where Sheriff Breaker speaks to the doctor through the window, who is rightfully concerned there are so many gunshots happening.
Sarah, about time somebody showed up. All the shooting in the air is idiotic. One of these days they'll kill somebody. And over Deerfest.
I know! Go back to bed! He's got a point, Wake. Look, this town can't take this.
It's me they want. The sooner I get out of here, the sooner you can all get back to life as usual.
Fight through a bookshop to avoid the taken horde and find a page which explains where the hidden weapon and ammo stashes have been coming from. They are being left for us by Cynthia Weaver. The lamp lady has been supporting us this whole time. Then, this moment, a red cart rolls through a playground. I love this. It's super subtle, but honestly, really creepy. Fight through the town preparing for the upcoming Deer Fest celebration. This is another shooting gallery bit, but having the sheriff makes it bearable. Then fight into a church and find another page explaining the dark presence doesn't want to kill Alan. It needs him so it can be free. Through the church into the cellar below, a tight maze of shelves and lovely textured brick columns. Some chaotic firefights down here. We run through and open the door at the top of the steps, and just before we get jumped by an enemy, Barry saves us with a flare.
Guess that one saw the light, huh? You didn't like that one? A tough audience. Well, I got plenty more.
What are the Christmas lights for?
Protection, man! Like garlic against vampires?
I absolutely love the fact that Barry has wrapped himself in fairy lights and is wearing a headlamp. That is such a Barry solution. We fight toward the helicopter, and Barry continues to be an absolute nerd.
The Bright Falls General Store is now my favorite place in the entire world. See this headlamp? It's like a superpower. I can just look at one of those things and they die. It's my flaming eye of Mordor. I wish I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Hey, I want a headlamp.
Last one.
Bastard.
Reach the helipad, and my goodness, this area with ammo aplenty and set up construction lights looks like the exact place we'll have to defend against waves of enemies while they start the helicopter. And good lord, wouldn't you know it, we now have to defend this area against waves of enemies while they start the helicopter. This section isn't as bad as some of the previous ones. It's fewer enemies and more objects being possessed and thrown at you. And then the darkness tornado begins to rip the trees in the background, which is very cool. We hold this position for long enough, then the helicopter starts up and we dive in.
Wait, you better put an end to this.
Just get me to Weaver, Sheriff.
You're taking a big chance on a local crazy lady, Al. I hope you're right about her, or we can kiss this town goodbye.
We're coming up on the power plant. See the lit building over there? And that's the dam further up the river. Hold on!
So once again, we find ourselves thrown from a vehicle just short of our destination, beginning to see a pattern here. So we begin our search for Cynthia Weaver, the lady of the lamp. We drop into this storage room, turn the radio on, and hear a song from the real-life band Poets of the Fall. This is a Finnish rock band who have also created songs for other Remedy games, including Max Payne 2 and Control. The resulting fight through the storage room is actually really fun. There are a few too many enemies, but it's nice to have some light rock as background ambience. We survive and head into the transformer yard. Need to cross this lake to reach the main power plant, and I love this moment. We turn a corner, see an enemy, instinctively hold up our flashlight, which staggers them back into an electrified cable, which instantly kills them. This is a superb way of introducing the electrified cables component by letting the player see their effect through predicted gameplay. Show, don't tell. We fight on through, avoiding the cables, and a new page saying how Cynthia was mad at Alan for breaking some of the sacred rules, so we know we're going to make a mistake, we just don't know what yet. I also love this red chair surrounded by beer cans. Such environmental storytelling. Some power plant worker likes to just sit here and watch the dam. Then an interesting manuscript page about how the final page of this story is still unfinished and we need to return return to the cabin on Diver's Isle to truly end this, which is what the Dark Presence wants us to do. Crossing the lake means activating this bridge, but it's malfunctioning. It doesn't lock into place and instead just keeps spinning, so jump onto it when the sparks show it's rubbing against the land, then survive a few bird attacks and hop off the other side. Sheriff Breaker and Barry then rejoin us. They are still in the helicopter, and I adore this bit where they give us aerial support with the helicopter's searchlight burning the Taken away as we shoot the remaining few. This is such a good support section. And all the combat encounters we have here are far shorter, which really helps keep the pacing tight. Eventually we reach the power plant and we recognize the power company symbol.
I recognize the logo on the power plant sign. I'd seen a version of it painted all over the area, signifying hidden caches of supplies.
We head inside the power plant and meet Cynthia Weaver.
Hold it right there!
Miss Weaver, Cynthia, I'm a friend.
Prove it!
You knew Zane, Thomas Zane. You're the Lady of the Light in the song. You can help me.
About time. Young man, I've been waiting a very long time for you.
Cynthia explains she did indeed have a crush on Thomas Zane, was even a little bit jealous of Barbara Jagger, but now she puts her position of lamp lady above all else, because before Thomas passed on, he entrusted her with his final secret, a way to defeat the Dark Presence. But before we can be shown this, we must fix a broken transformer in the yard outside. If we don't, all the power will drain away from her well-lit sanctuary. Outside we find more graffiti. Rule 1, never go out at night. Would have been useful to know that a few days ago. And now it's time for a Dino Crisis style button puzzle. Close the waterway gate to form a bridge that we can run across and flip a switch. Then we go to run back and aha, they move now. So I try again. Platform and jump across these moving gates, sprint back inside, avoiding a fight with a mob of Taken, and Cynthia finally tells us the tale of Cauldron Lake, the truth of this whole town. So sit back and get ready for the entire plot. Here we go. Something dark and powerful has always lived at the bottom of Cauldron Lake. The artists collective back in the 70s, Cynthia, Thomas, Barbara, Dr. Hartman and the Anderson brothers, knew that Cauldron Lake was magical. The artwork created near it had a way of becoming real. Then one day, Barbara Jagger drowned while swimming in the lake. Thomas Zane couldn't save her, but he did have an idea. He sat in the cabin on Diver's Isle, right on Cauldron Lake, and wrote a story where Barbara came back to life. The dark presence of the lake made this story come true, but at a terrible price. Barbara didn't come back as herself. Instead, she came back possessed by the dark presence. A mortal playing God like this is irresponsible. Tom knew he'd awoken something ancient and primal. He knew this wasn't his Barbara, but she convinced him to keep writing, to finish the story, to write an ending where the dark presence fully leaves the confines of the lake and slowly takes over the world. Thomas tried to stop her, even going as far as to physically cut out her heart, leaving a dark hole of nothing in her chest. But this still didn't kill it, because the dark presence was just wearing Barbara's skin. It didn't need a heart. Eventually, Thomas Zane has a final desperate idea. He writes a story where the darkness returns to the lake, but he knows that story requires sacrifice. So he writes himself out of history. No one remembers him, his books never exist, his poems never get read, and this act of self-destruction works for now. The dark presence is returned to the lake, and no one remembers Thomas Zane. No one except the insane. Then Alan Wake arrived in Bright Falls on holiday, and the dark presence saw a new chance for escape. It brought Alan and Alice to the lake. Alice fell in and drowned like Barbara all those years ago. Then Alan, just like Thomas, sat in the cabin, and under the watchful eye and evil reassurance of the dark presence wearing Barbara's skin, begins to write a story where it escapes the lake. There was an artistic caveat though. Alan can't just write, and then the evil escaped and everyone died. It still has to be a well-paced, good story.
A story is not a machine that does what you tell it. A story is a beast with a life of its own. You can create it, shape it, but as the story grows, it starts wanting things of its own. Change one thing and you set off a chain reaction of events that spreads through the whole thing. The characters have to be true to themselves. The events need to follow a logic that fits the story. A single flaw and the magic is gone. The story dies. Alice dies.
However, something in Alan still held on to some kind of hope. Maybe the hope Alice is still alive somewhere, or the hope granted by the infusion of the spirit of Thomas Zane from being in the lake. And Alan doesn't finish the story. The dark presence doesn't escape. Instead, he finds the strength to write a loophole into his own story. He writes himself as the protagonist. He writes the story of how he manages to defeat the dark presence while being unaware of it. He writes Thomas Zane in as a guiding light to assist him, and when all else is lost, he grants himself the pages, the story itself, to guide him. We did write during the week we lost. The footage of Alan in the cabin does exist. He wrote it so the hero version of himself sees the reality of himself. The only problem is the story still isn't finished. The final page is still in the typewriter in the cabin, and until Alan writes the ending, the dark presence has enough freedom to exist within the real world. So we follow Cynthia to a place she calls the well-lit room, where she guards the key to defeating the dark presence once and for all. But as we go, we get a call from Barry. He and the sheriff seem to be in serious trouble, so we abandon Cynthia, saying we'll meet her later. We need to go and rescue Barry and Sheriff Breaker. We leave the pipe Cynthia was guiding us through and go and find the crashed helicopter. No sign of Barry or the sheriff, but no bodies, which is good. We fight at the hill and find them both alive. Join them for a few more last stands type defense sections, hop into an elevator heading down to the well-lit room. Then we hold a button open for Barry and Sarah to go through, but as we go to follow them, a water tanker crashes in front of us, blocking the way. We find a few more pages, letting us know that we weren't the only ones to write a loophole into our own story. Thomas Zane trapped the dark presence in the lake by writing himself and his works out of history, but he included the caveat: anything stored in an old shoebox would remain in this world. So whatever he left behind is the key to ending this. We head up onto the metal walkways, the dark presence gaining in power and beginning to damage the dam and the surrounding tree line. Eventually, reaching a spotlight, we take control and burn away the approaching Taken, but then we have to sprint along the dam as the dark presence swirls around behind us and throws vehicles and debris ahead of us. This is one of the best paced and most exciting chase sequences, the walkway falling away below you as the dark presence gets closer and closer, and finally we reach the elevator and dive inside along with Cynthia, Barry and Sarah. And eventually we reach the well-lit room and find the shoebox Thomas Zane left behind.
The page was autobiographical, a memory from my childhood. But I didn't write this. It was a page written by Thomas Zane. None of them were supposed to exist anymore.
Alan, 7 years old, would fight sleep to the bitter end. When he did sleep, he soon woke up, screaming, the nightmares fresh in his mind. One evening, his mother, sitting by his bed, offered him an old light switch. She called it the clicker, and flicking the switch would turn on a magical light that would drive the beast away. To imbue the talisman with all possible power, she added that it had been given to her by Alan's father. Alan never knew him, and anything of his took on mythical proportions in his mind. With the clicker firmly in his hand, Alan finally slept like a baby. Now, almost 30 years later, Alan thought of this as he stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, the clicker in his hand. He took a deep breath and jumped.
My mind swirled. I'd given the clicker to Alice, yet it was here. Zane had written it into existence in a story I had written.
This revelation leads me to ask a meta question with two horrific possible answers. The first is, how did Thomas Zane, a man who never met Alan, write about Alan's childhood? Especially about the clicker, which was a memory from when Alan was 7. Making me question, is Thomas Zane actually an entirely fictional character that exists within Alan's stories? Alan Wake retroactively writing him in to exist from the 70s through the power of the lake. Or, and this is the reality I hate thinking about, did Thomas Zane get trapped in the lake in the 70s and actually wrote Alan Wake as a fictional story to get Zane himself out of the dark place? Are we playing as Alan Wake assisted by Thomas Zane, or are we playing as Alan Wake created by Thomas Zane? Episode 6 is titled Departure, which matters because that was the planned title of Alan's next book, the first in a new series now the Alex Casey novels were finished, the one he never actually started writing, the one this whole holiday was meant to kickstart.
Previously on Alan Wake, I wrote a horror story that has come true. Thomas Zane did the same in the 70s.
You will go no further.
If I continue like the Dark Presence wants me to, the story I'm writing won't save Alice. It's a horror story. No one will survive.
You knew Zane! Thomas Zane! You're the Lady of the Light in the song!
He left something behind to help me. The clicker.
Alan thought of this as he stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, the clicker in his hand. He took a deep breath and jumped.
I can get to her now. I can finish this.
Episode 6 starts with a flashback to our New York apartment, and I am intrigued to learn possibly the most important thing. I have the same heated towel rails as Alan Wake. We head to the living room and watch a TV interview segment of Alan, and I love how this is a real show made with real actors. He's talking about his final Alex Casey novel.
I've been talking with the best-selling author Alan Wake about his new book, The Sudden Stop. Yeah, good read. Go buy it. This last book is all about the death of the main character, the hard-boiled New York detective, Alex Casey. Why the hell did you kill Casey? What the hell were you thinking, man?
Good riddance. No, seriously though, 7 years and 6 books is a long time. He was a gloomy guy to spend all your working hours with, and it was a good run. But it's time to explore new things. My next book will be a departure from the old for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for you tonight. I want to thank all our guests for the evening. Alan Wake, Sam Lake. Once more, do the face for us, Sam. There we go. And our musical guests, Poets of the Fall. Thank you.
At least I'd been funny. I told myself I could live with that.
That guy who appears at the end of the interview, that's Sam Lake, writer and director of both Max Payne and Alan Wake, now known for doing that dance at the Game Awards and drinking coffee with celebrities. Back in the present, we have the Clicker, the mythical item able to defeat evil simply because it has been written that it can do so. So we drive to the lake to write an ending where everyone survives, and Alan is questioning, is this reality, or just something he's written into being?
When I got out, it was warm and sunny. I'd flicked the switch of the clicker. Had it done this? I didn't stop to question it. I had to take advantage of the sunlight to get to the lake. It was hard not to let doubt creep in one last time. I could still chalk everything up to a dream, a delusion. I had enough imagination to make up something like this. Having been in the cabin all this time, trapped in a story inside my head, gone mad from grief over Alice's death like Hartman had claimed, there would be no way of knowing. I told myself it didn't really matter. My course was set.
I mentioned the title Departure mattering. Why? Well, it's because Sam Lake is now making the framework of story construction a story aspect in itself. Many stories are written using the hero's journey framework, sometimes called the monomyth. It's a progression of story elements which has led to what many will consider the most satisfying journey for a human to go on. Everything from Star Wars to Lord of the Rings to The Matrix follow the hero's journey framework, and while the journey itself has several key points which need to be hit, it can broadly be broken down into 3 main sections: the departure from your known world, the initiation of the task or adventure, and the return to home life as a changed character, known as Departure, Initiation, Return. And as shown in the first page of the manuscript we've been reading in this game, Alan has titled this story
Departure by Alan Wake.
Which I think is Sam Lake telling us, the audience, in a meta-narrative way that the events of Alan Wake are actually only the start of the hero's journey that Alan Wake is going to go on. Because even when Departure finishes, we still need Initiation and Return. I explore the area as I'm driving, and in a lovely touch, if you stop at this motel, you can find FBI Agent Nightingale's room with surveillance photos of Alan and Sheriff Breaker, even a copy of Dr. Hartman's book. This is a lovely touch. We drive around some more farm equipment and onward until another roadblock, so back to foot, and now the bridge bit. Crossing this bridge is a challenge. It's an incredible set piece to play through, but almost everything on it will become possessed and attack you. The floor will be ripped up and crash away, which leaves gaps behind that you will get knocked down. And I love the framing of this. Look at that thing in the distance. It's clearly heavy machinery, but the shadow makes it look like there's a devil or demon waiting for us in the mist. The cinematography in Alan Wake is just stunningly good. We make it all the way across, I throw all my flashbangs at this mini-boss possessed platform lifter, then even more bridge trouble as it begins to fall apart all around us, even a school bus launching itself at us, and the tension of these sections is excellent, but it's so often undone by just dying from a hit that you could not see coming. Shoot our way through and under the bridge, another short driving section, then into a car scrapyard. We need to get out and activate a generator to operate a crane to move a container to leave. We find more pages. This one explains that after Thomas Zane wrote himself out of reality, he put on his diving suit, grabbed the dark presence wearing Jagger's skin physically, and dragged it to the bottom of the lake with him, to lay where it cannot harm anyone anymore. We start some more generators to leave and then go to the scrapyard, but guess who's back? It's our old friend Possessed Bulldozer, so we can use our car against it, drain the headlights to kill it, then escape and find a new car to get to the lake. It's getting to the rather predictable point where whenever you see a set of construction lights and a pile of ammo, you know you're about to need to survive a wave of enemies. Thrill and horror are harmed by predictability, and by now, unfortunately, while the story is excellent, the gameplay is predictable. Fight onward through a farmhouse and find another page letting us know to reach the cabin we may need to dive into Cauldron Lake. For the bottom of the lake isn't water. It is the dark place. We hop into an old minecart and ride the rails along this ravine, take out some birds as we go. Along this wooden structure, up the hill, and honestly, my god, the constant and repeated combat up this final bit are just dragging the pacing out so much. Survive the fights by backing myself into a corner so I can't be attacked from behind, and eventually I end up running from checkpoint to checkpoint, just popping flares as I go to avoid spending 20 minutes in endless combat loops. As we approach, the dark presence then throws buildings, trains and vehicles at us, and in a really interesting touch, we find a page saying the dark presence can only use what is physically in the lake. So trains which derailed there from the coal mine cave-in, or the plane which crashed there so long ago and rusted, that's what we're being attacked with, detritus from the lake bed summoned by the dark presence. That's why we saw the old plane in the forest earlier. That's why it's throwing bits of a cabin at us from the volcanic eruption. The darkness attacks us with what it has. And I love this little touch. Journey through some coal tunnels and eventually reach the cliffs overlooking the lake, but the dark presence has condensed into a whirlwind of shadow on the precipice. Vehicles and buildings all within the lake rise into the air as a defensive tornado, preventing us getting there, and behind it all the body of Barbara Jagger standing as a dark entity at the center. So we load up the flare gun and advance, burning away the darkness until we can get close enough to shoot a flare directly onto Barbara, and with the darkness burned back, we grasp the clicker in our hands and dive into Cauldron Lake.
Hell!
Shh, baby. You were having a bad dream. It was just another nightmare.
No.
Everything's fine. You're home.
It wasn't a dream.
Everything's fine.
Turn the lights on. Turn the lights on!
We suddenly wake up in our New York apartment, but it's not right. It's dark, and Alice is here. The shadows writhe outside the window, and we know this is a hallucination caused by the dark presence. We are in the dark place. We search for the clicker, but instead of finding the physical object, we find the word clicker in a typewriter font in the air, and by burning it away with your flashlight, you now create the clicker, showing that while in the dark place, the element of creation that we shine our light on becomes our reality. We see Thomas Zane as the diver of light, and we fight back against this nightmare. Then Zane says one of the most terrifying things as we see ourself.
It has no heart. It's filled with darkness. It must fill its heart with light. Don't mind him, he's Mr. Scott. Your friends will meet him when you're gone.
A copy of Alan, but smiling in an unsettling way. That is Mr. Scratch. Who is Mr. Scratch? How do we relate? For now, we don't know. What we do know is we're at the bottom of Cauldron Lake, and somewhere down here is the cabin, and the unfinished last page of our novel. We start to see words floating in the same font a typewriter would use, and when we burn them away with the light, they become real, showing we are literally illuminating the words of the story we now want to come true. You can hear the sound of a typewriter every time you light up a word.
No, what do you say? You can't...
You don't love me.
We travel across this bridge into Diver's Isle cabin, and while in the deepest part of the darkest place, we face the dark presence as Barbara Jagger, a hole where her heart was.
Now you will never get her back. much older than you. Older than your first work of art. I will find a new face to wear. Someone else to dream me free.
But instead of fighting, we embrace her, reach our hand inside her chest, and press the button.
I could feel Alice's presence close by. I understood what I had to do now. I knew how to write the ending to Departure. There's light and there's darkness. Cause and effect. There's guilt and there's atonement. But the scales always need to balance. Everything has a price. That's where Zane had gone wrong. There's a long journey through the night back into the light.
Alan is able to save Alice by writing the final page of the story. She emerges from the lake and the town of Bright Falls has returned to normal. We see the deer celebration happening with Rose the waitress chosen as the new Lady of the Lamp. Episode 6 ends, but Alan, just like Thomas Zane, is nowhere to be seen.
It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
But Alan is still trapped in the dark place. Has the dark power been stopped? Is Alice actually okay after her imprisonment in the dark place? Is Thomas Zane or Barbara Jagger still around? And importantly, who is Mr. Scratch? Thankfully, we don't need to wait, because there are 2 DLCs branded as special episodes which directly continue the story. So let's dive straight into those, starting with The Signal.
Previously on Alan Wake. Something I only know as the Dark Presence held my wife captive and used her to write a horror story that came true.
I'll bring her back.
Some part of me had been aware enough to write my escape into the story.
Alan?
I saved Alice, then wrote a better ending for the story. But not without a price. I was trapped somewhere in the dark place, a strange zone somewhere beyond our world.
It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
After the completion of any difficult undertaking, there are mixed emotions. Accomplishment and relief. Sadness, depression. For a while, everything was about the work. Like an illness, it consumed you, changed you. You locked yourself away from the world to do it, and now you need to recover. Learn to live without it. Find a way to crack open the door and let the light back in. I knew this place. It was familiar, but wrong somehow.
The Signal starts with Alan waking up back in the diner from the start, but it's wrong. The images are ghostly. Rose the waitress's speech distorts whenever she tries to say a character's name.
Are you staying long, Mr. I can't believe it. I'm having a conversation with...
We quickly realise we're still in the dark place. We retrace our steps from the beginning of the game to go and get the keys from Stucky, but a TV turns on and tells us to stop. We learn Alan had to write an artistically valid ending for the book and for the magic to happen to save Alice, but the best ending always had him remain here. And when we try to leave the diner, a load of TVs turn on and tell us that no matter what we try and do, our actions will always end in failure.
Zane had become night. The diner had become deserted. Then the door was smashed off its hinges and Wake had to fight for his life.
We fight our way through some Taken, leave the Dark Place diner and arrive in the forest again. We burn away some more words to progress through this nightmare, and now we have a GPS signal on our mobile, which should be impossible because it's clearly not actually picking up any real GPS satellites, but it's guiding us somewhere. A phone call simply tells us,
Listen, I can help you, but you're drifting deeper. I can't reach you. You must come to me. I can't maintain the connection. Use the words. Follow the signal.
We head through Nightmare Bright Falls, cross the destroyed, incomplete main road, and then get absolutely battered by playground equipment just launching itself at us. This is a much harder dodging section.
The playground! Wake's pathetic memories of the Wonder Years and the contrary little boy pretending he didn't miss his father he never knew. Little surged up and beat Wake down. Merry-go-rounds and slides, eager to cave in his head.
We push on and arrive back at the locked church. The truck and float for the deer festival outside, and then the float itself becomes possessed, splits into 3 pieces and attacks us. Eventually the truck becomes wrapped in darkness and starts to throw even more objects at us. We survive this onslaught and head into the church. More TVs with more creepy close-ups of eyes.
The world was changing, twisting, out of control. It was too big on the inside. He couldn't see the ceiling. Something was moving in there. He was lost. He couldn't find the exit.
Asshole. We head down into the church catacombs, but this time things are different. This time they're full of furnaces with the word blast in front of them, and illuminating the word causes an explosion of fire from that furnace. This becomes one of the more challenging combat sections. Loads of Taken flood the room, and you need to use the furnace blasts to burn them away while not getting caught in a blast yourself. The claustrophobic design making this fight even harder. I die here a good few times. Eventually we see Barry, but remember, this isn't Barry. Everything we are seeing here exists in the dark place, potentially in Alan's head, so this is how we see Barry.
Barry? Hey, bestseller! Looking good!
You're not real.
Well, no shit. What gave me away? What, the see-through thing? I'm a figment of your imagination, just like pretty much everything else you see here. Maybe even you.
That's insane.
Yeah, you're right. Everything that happened before made perfect sense, but this is insane. Good catch, Al.
Okay, look, I gotta get going. The GPS...
The GPS, yeah, I know. Follow the signal. Got it.
You nag the way the real Barry does. You know that?
Well, hey, be fair. It's not my fault you think I'm annoying.
Barry says we need to get to the sawmill. Why? Don't know. But if Barry is saying it, it's because deep down, we know. So we use the word boom to explode some rocks and make some bridges, fight through the forest with some fast and tough Taken, and this is easily one of the hardest combat encounters of the game. The DLCs are a real jump in mechanical difficulty. We create a spotlight to use against enemies, then get attacked by birds. But it's not birds, it's a flock of our own flying books.
Wake's own words, littering the landscape. His books common and discarded, like mud beneath his feet. Hardbacks, paperbacks, turned against him. Trash.
The Sudden Stop, the final Alex Casey novel. Alan is being attacked by his own artistic work, and now we need to make sure not to shine a light on any of the words possessed or enemy, because if we do, we'll create those. Previously, we could only write good and useful things. Now, we can make our lives harder, and then we see more TVs of ourselves madly rambling.
The earth shook. Streetlights pushed themselves up to the ground, flickering madly and spitting sparks. In the shadows, Wake saw far too many figures advancing eagerly, already tasting the kill.
Okay, this is just too weird. You're weird.
That's when I realised what this is. Right now, we are playing as Alan's projection of himself, his last remnant of hope and tenacity. Alan's physical body is currently in the writing room of the cabin in the dark place, wherever that may be, and he is slowly going insane. Alan is trying to write his own rescue, but the dark place is overpowering him, and he's making his own rescue harder and harder, writing things which actively hinder his own efforts. The fragment of hope we are playing as is having to battle against Alan's own twisted imagination, preventing himself from saving himself from himself. We create a car, then end up in a demolition derby deathmatch against 2 other possessed cars. Imagination Barry thoroughly enjoying this. Barry calling it a death rally as a reference to Remedy Entertainment's first full video game, Death Rally. Drive like a madman into this warehouse, create ourselves a rifle, push on through an ambush, and then in a lovely narrative touch, Alan gets fed up with his own writing.
He entered the trap, surrounded by enemies. Wake had nowhere to run.
I'm so sick of you.
Into a lumber yard. Everything has a maze-like quality now, and more chainsaw-wielding Taken charge at us. We head inside, take on even more. This section is just constant combat challenges, but each one is at least short enough to not overstay its welcome. And then we find a cardboard cutout of Alice. Even in his darkest imagination, Alan still sees his wife as sacred. But how long have we been here? How long ago did we save Alice? We can't remember.
I could only hope that Alice was all right. I didn't know what happened to her after she left the dark place.
We fall down a hatch and emerge in the photography studio where Alice took the book cover photos of Alan, a calm moment of respite, and I love the effect of shadow Alan in the posing area. We keep going and now we're back in our apartment and we meet Thomas Zane, the diver. He explains this whole reality right now has nothing to do with the dark presence.
You knew there was no way out?
No, I'm right here, Zane.
What's going on?
That's not me, it's just, I don't know, an echo, a hallucination, the dark presence.
No, the dark presence is not responsible for this. You are making this happen. You're trapped in your own nightmares. You are fighting yourself.
The signal we've been following on our phone was Thomas Zane, or at least a small part of Alan's imagination, clinging to the support of an imagined Thomas Zane, leading us here to give us the information and support needed to stop this nightmare. Our apartment wall breaks and we fall into a large storage room, and here we take on the boss, a monstrous collection of TVs all showing Alan creating this impossible story, while objects all fly toward us. Now this is a pretty hard boss fight. Unless you've saved some flares. Then it's honestly quite trivial. Burn away the darkness from all the TVs, then exit onto a dock. Use your flashlight to burn away the darkness around an entire boat that's dropped in front of you, then defeat the final TV of Alan's madness, and suddenly jolt awake into Dr. Hartman's clinic.
There you go, Alan.
Hartman?
It's all in your head. You've been making it up. Really, Wade. Really, Wade. Come on. Your delusions.
Why is this happening to me? Lodge. No. Hartman. There's no way out. No way out. I need to get out of here. No. How do I get out of here?
We are still in the cabin, still in the dark place. With special episode 1 now over, we continue straight into special episode 2, the final installment of the Alan Wake 1 story, The Writer.
Previously on Alan Wake. It's not a lake. It's an ocean. After saving my wife from the mysterious dark presence, I found myself trapped in the dark place.
Imagination can be the enemy here.
A nightmarish world that exists somewhere beyond the shores of our own existence.
We're the one making all this happen.
Just do what Zane tells you.
Follow the signal.
Is all this really coming out of my head?
The dark place is playing tricks on you.
I made my way across its ever-shifting landscape, trying to reach Thomas Zane.
You're trapped in your own nightmares. You're still going deeper.
The Writer starts with us still in the dark place, but back in an imaginary version of Hartman's clinic. We move a lamppost to destroy a wall, and I really like this. You destroy the shadow wall by using the physics engine to swing the light attached to the lamppost. That's a lovely touch. And this is prophetic because the Writer DLC is all about using mechanics they've not used before in interesting ways. We grab a flashlight from Barry and make our way back into the clinic's hedge maze, which is now also Valhalla. I don't mind reusing assets when they're combined in a more interesting way. This is a manifestation of Alan's insanity from all the memories he has. We reach the Old Gods of Asgard stage, the music begins to play, but it's distorted, and we have another wave defense combat encounter.
Oh, hell yeah! Remember this, Al?
It's fun enough because of the music and the fireworks, but obviously it draws comparisons to the first stage defense, and that was way better. Survive the performance battle, head into the cabin, which is actually the treatment center, and then a nice touch. Imagination Barry gets a bit jealous of Thomas Zane.
Yeah. So, I guess you're going to talk to Zane out there now that he's actually here. I'm just gonna, let you non-imaginary people talk in peace.
You're not coming?
Nah. Hey, you're moving up in the world, buddy.
You have done well, Alan. Now I can accompany you. You are trapped in your own dream. You must wake yourself up, but first, you have to reach yourself.
The cabin?
Yes, my cabin. It will not be easy. Your previous work can help you. I still have some pages of your manuscript left. Words like that have power here.
Zane gifts us more pages of our own manuscript. We now need to illuminate words in the sky which create the ground and scenery and objects we then platform over. I think The Writer is a more unhinged episode, and it's so much better for it. We're in full dark dream territory now. We head into a cabin and another TV where Alan tells himself he's going to fail.
The world was tilted. It was turning upside down. Wake was lost. He would fall. He couldn't tell which way was up. He would die here, torn apart by the whirlwind.
The entire cabin room then begins to rotate with us inside it, and we have to dodge the falling objects of the cabin. There's that physics engine again. This is effectively us playing through Alan's last remaining shred of self-belief, fighting our manifested doubt and defeatist thoughts. We then have to again curate our own path to escape oblivion through the process of creation, and I love this narrative. The last shred of a writer's sanity journeys through his own created hell to rescue himself from himself. I love this bit, dropping a flare down a well to destroy the word hole, which creates a hole in the pipe we can then move through. The main game didn't use dropping a flare as a mechanic at all, which leads to potentially the greatest set piece in the entire game.
Wake was forced to run through a maze, hopelessly sprinting in the wheel, never getting anywhere. His life in miniature. It was useless.
Oh, now what?
Mad TV Alan says we are trapped in a giant hamster wheel, and now we physically actually are. Every room we recognize from the main game arranged together into a giant slowly turning wheel. Each doorway leading to another location we remember, and we have to run around it. The physics engine keeping us to the floor, but also letting us jump up and over the walls and ceiling. We even reach a giant typewriter and jump along the keys which spell out the word wake. I even end up somehow running along the outer edge of the wheel and seeing all the rooms below as everything turns upside down, and this bit which uses 2 wooden spools as locks by interacting with the physics engine and rolling up and downhill, making sure we can't get too far ahead. This is such a clever bit. And if you get lost in the giant 3D maze, there's light-sensitive yellow paint to help guide you. The whole section is incredibly well designed. Eventually you'll make it out of the giant hamster wheel of rooms and arrive in Stucky's gas station.
You're doing well. Keep going.
It's hard to make sense of this place.
It's a dream. This is a vast place, home to forces and beings that are completely alien.
The Dark Presence.
Yes. I don't know what happened to it after your final encounter.
Is there any way out of here?
Sometimes transmissions can be sent between worlds. You've done this yourself. But to actually leave the dark place, I haven't found a way.
Another memory made real. Wake would never make it. The insanity he was facing was already a part of it, in him. His own doing. He couldn't possibly win. He didn't even want to.
Leave the gas station, fight through the forecourt, and now create a series of electrical poles by burning the words away to supply a generator with power. It's difficult to review a dream gameplay sequence with any logical consistency, but my god, this was a blast to play. We run across a bridge, up some steps, and, you know, we still don't know who Mr. Scratch is.
The part of you that is in control is in the cabin, dreaming and insane.
I don't think I like that.
You represent the part of Alan Wake that is capable of rational thought and planning, which is why I'm talking to you. If that part can regain control, then you have a chance of making it. But a part of you wants to give in. There's comfort in the oblivion of dreams. You represent the part that isn't ready to quit and die.
Wait, are you telling me I'm not real?
You're as real as anything else in this place.
So there are 2 of me?
Yes.
And the one you called Mr. Scratch, he's me as well?
No.
Zane, are you playing some kind of game with me?
I am not the author of your story.
How can you say that when you wrote that page about me in the clicker? It wasn't one of my pages. You directed me to it. You had Weaver guard it.
Yes, she was needed. And you needed the clicker. But I'm not.
What? I don't understand.
Alan, you should keep going.
Zane? Zane! Come on!
Well, that cleared things up.
More bridge battles. Enemies drop down, we use the words boom to blow them up, then Thomas Zane creates a bridge for us by moving an entire tree. Even in our imagination, our guiding angel Zane is as strong as we need him to be. We fight up the mountain, and I'm really loving the contrast here. I've just realized, in the main game, we are in reality, following a story Alan has written in order to save our wife. But here, things are mirrored. We're in unreality inside Alan's mind, and we're specifically going against a story Alan has written in order to save ourselves. That's a beautiful inversion of the established narrative. Eventually we reach Hartman's clinic and walk in on a consultation between Alan and Hartman, and you can sit and listen for as long as you like.
Since we're being so frank here, Alan, and let me just reiterate how happy I am that you've had this breakthrough, I would like to summarize your condition.
By all means.
And please, just let me know if you think I'm being unfair.
All right.
Well, let's start with the obvious. The car crash. Untreated head trauma. All due respect to Doc Nelson, but he's hardly a neurosurgeon. I think that the injury has affected you more than you realize.
Yeah, I have had bad headaches.
Then there's your history of substance abuse, which, combined with your chronic insomnia, has resulted in hallucinations and extremely poor impulse control. That's a dangerous combination, one which your wife has unfortunately had to suffer from far more than you.
I know she has.
But do notice how Alan has a TV for a head, which means Alan Wake officially predicted Skibbity Toilet 15 years ago. Eventually, Hartman will make you listen to a recording of your wife Alice.
All I ever wanted was to help you, Alan. I ate all the shit you handed out and tried to understand your pathetic, wealthy white male drama until my life consisted of managing your never-ending crisis. I hate you for your childish temper and the arrogance self-indulgent pride that undermine all efforts to drag you out of the hole you insisted on digging for yourself. I hate you for leaving me in the dark with that insane monster bitch! All you had to do was act like a loving human being for once in your life and stay with me. If your dramatic exit hadn't been more important than making sure I was all right, she would never have taken me. I don't know where you went, but that's okay. I don't want to know. I don't think I'll ever be all right. The only thing that keeps me from killing myself is the hope that I'll never see you again!
Ouch.
I just can't argue with that. I think I should stay here before I ruin what life she has left.
I think this is a breakthrough, Alan. I'm really very proud of you.
It was nonsense. I knew I had saved her. I'd succeeded in that, and that was all that mattered. What I heard in there wasn't the truth. It was just another toxic mirage.
We know that's fake. Alan's imagination may be strong, but his last shred of hope knows Alice would never abandon him. We fight through more waves of enemies and over the destroyed plane again, and Zane reminds us how important mental resilience is.
Well done. You have come far, but there's still a little further to go. You must take full control of your own mind. Reject all of the fantasies you have constructed. I cannot come any further, but this will help you on your way.
Thanks, I guess.
Hey, let me tell you something, Alan. I know how your mind works. You screw up, then you start analyzing it, and before you know it, you start writing all these horror stories in your head. Don't you?
Come on, I don't do that.
Yes, you do. I know how it goes. You failure. I hate you and I'll never forgive you for whatever it was that you did. Am I wrong?
Oh, man.
See? I know you. But Alan, it's all in your head. It is. I love you, and I'm not going anywhere.
They kept coming. There were too many of them. Hordes and hordes of them, swarming over the landscape, eager to kill. They were coming for Wake, and this time they would get him with sheer numbers.
Another TV broadcast. Alan is reaching peak madness and screams about how we will die to overwhelming floods of Taken. But we have one final weapon, something which brings the entire game in a complete loop. It's the lighthouse. The one we saw in our dream back at the very start of the entire thing, and it's on. And by burning away the cliffside around us, the blinding light of the lighthouse sweeps away waves of Taken every pass. We run between the cliffs and burn away rocks as we go, and eventually we reach the lighthouse from the start. But instead of waking up, we go inside, climb the ladder, and reach the top. We have once again reached the cabin. We burn away a bridge and begin to approach, but Barry appears and he's a bit upset that we are forgetting him.
Hey, Al. Feeling kind of depressed here.
What?
So Zane's your new buddy now. I feel abandoned.
This is ridiculous. You're not even real.
That doesn't mean I don't have any feelings. Thing is, you need to get all rational here. Abandon your fantasies, right? Well, I kinda hate to say this, pal, but I'm one.
Fine. You're abandoned. Bye.
Al, what I'm saying is the only way you're getting in that cabin is through me. It's one of those kill your darlings things. But hell, you're used to that, big shot writer. Am I right?
It was in everything. It was even taking the people Wake knew, turning his friends against him. They were all against him.
Here we go! I'm earning the
15% commission.
Barry is just a figment of our imagination right now, but this is still our own reality-bending nightmare. We've faced hatred from our wife, and now Alan's own imagination turns his friends against him, and we must fight Barry. He even references a narrative trope for doing so.
It's one of those kill your darlings things.
Kill your darlings is a writing convention where you must remove unnecessary elements of your story, even if you as an author personally like them, for the betterment of the story as a whole. Ironically, it's something they should have done with the driving sections. So we burn away the imaginary Barry, approach the cabin, but Barry's not going down so easily. The final boss fight of the final DLC is against Barry 3 different times, surrounded by TVs of Alan saying how we will fail and flocks of birds swooping at us. First, you must fight a figment of Dr. Hartman telling us we're crazy. Then you must fight the Anderson brothers, the old gods of Asgard, using their guitars as weapons, before finally having to defeat Barry 3 times. He's fast, but low health, and with him finally taken down, we can head into the cabin and find ourselves, overcome our own fears, restore hope, restore our own sanity, and with our mind clear. Even though we are still in the dark place, Alan is now focused and resolved enough to write the story where he escapes.
Just like that, my mind was clear. Zane had been right. But I couldn't survive in this place the way he had, and I might not make it back a second time. Leaving this place would be hard. Maybe impossible. It wouldn't take much for my thoughts to stray again. It was too easy to get lost in the dark place. Before, I was ready to curl up and die, let myself slip away. But here I was, the yet unwritten future waiting to unfold before me. A sequel to Departure. My name is Alan Wake, and I'm a writer.
And that is where we leave Alan Wake 1, the story of an ancient evil under a Pacific Northwest lake which imbues artistic works created near it with reality-shaping power, which possesses a poet's dead wife when he tries to resurrect her, then gets banished by his sacrifice, then manipulates the writer Alan Wake to write it into existing again, and was thwarted by Alan's self-belief, the love of his wife Alice, and the support of his friend Barry, with Sheriff Breaker fighting by his side and the spirit of Thomas Zane guiding his hand. And now we've finished it, and the DLCs, we can ask the very simple question, was Alan Wake actually any good? Graphically, the game is stunning. Lighting mechanics, physics, and textures all look incredible even by today's standards, but where it falls down is the gameplay. Gameplay-wise, Alan Wake is flawed. But I think it's fair to say Alan Wake is one of those gaming experiences that you like in spite of its flaws. From a purely mechanical point of view, the movement controls can be clunky in the platforming sections. The combat mechanics are decent enough, but become very overused and repetitive very quickly. The close-in camera makes group fights feel unfair because you'll be attacked from the side or behind and have no chance to dodge or retaliate or even see the attack incoming, meaning most of your deaths will feel unfair in combat, and unfortunately group combat is the majority of the combat. Remember, the system itself isn't inherently flawed, it actually shines in one-on-one or jump scare style situations. It's the overuse of wave survival sections which drag it down. The driving mechanics are fine, but in a kill your darlings aspect they could have been removed and you wouldn't have lost anything except padding. But beyond all this, the engine of Alan Wake is the story, and that is phenomenally good. It's a multimedia artistic powerhouse, combining gaming, writing, TV shows, music, and meta commentary to tell one of the most interesting and well-paced stories I've ever played through. It is undeniable that the weakest aspect of this game is gameplay, which is similar to Max Payne. And while I don't use the word genius a lot, after playing Max Payne and now Alan Wake, I am starting to think that Sam Lake might be a genius. After finishing the game and its DLCs, despite being 15 years late to the party myself, I think Alan Wake is now in my top 5 games of all time because of the experience as a whole. But I know there's a sequel, and believe it or not, 15 years earlier, you should have known that too, because of a very clever hint Sam Lake left. Remember the hero's journey: departure, initiation, return. The book Alan wrote for this adventure was called Departure, and at the end of the Writer DLC we can see the title for his next book, an attempt to escape called Return. But he's missed a step. He's missed the initiation. So Alan Wake 2 is about Alan understanding he can't skip the story, and he needs to write a sequel to initiate before he's allowed to return. And I guess that means I've got to play Alan Wake 2, solve the mystery of Mr. Scratch and the journey of escaping the dark place. We need to continue the story, but for now, I'll award Alan Wake 1...
It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
out of 10. Cheers for watching, and another massive thank you to the Patreon supporters and Lost in Cult for sponsoring this video. You can find links below to order the Alan Wake physical bundle of awesome stuff and links to our Twitch, Twitter, Insta, and Discord. And as always, remember,
in a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end. My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.